Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping and Paul Felder.
Welcome to the Believe You Me podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Myself and Paul Felder are going to take you through everything happening in the world of mixed martial arts. Of course, we've also got some great guests. We got Dan Hooker joining us. We have the victorious Jared Cannonier and the victorious Youssef Zalal. Paul, you were there. You were in the building. You got the free haircut. You got the free drink. How was the weekend, buddy?
It was a good weekend, man. I love the early starts for those fights, too. We were done by, I think, like 6:26 is when Jared Cannonier finally got the job done on Saturday. And, yeah, like you talked about, we got a barber now, man. Shout out to Zach and the guys that hooked that up. He was good, too. He took his time. He trimmed up the beard, gave us all a fresh cut. People were, like, wandering by our locker room. Everyone was just kind of peeking in. What's going on? It's like, hey, allow the people on camera to get their haircuts done first. But no, there was
finally the guys get some attention because the ring girls, they get their own locker room, they get pampered, they get looked after, they get the hair, the makeup, they get their own stylist. We're on camera, we're just please yourself, boys.
Suits tossed about. Don't know where your shirts are. Ties are all just thrown into that little cubby, and we're starting to get organized finally.
No. They do a great job in looking after us. Of course they do. But people don't want to hear us complaining about being divas, Paul. They don't want to hear that shit.
That's a fact.
They don't. Should we quickly start with Jared Cannonier? Obviously, we're going to talk to him a bit later in the show, but holy shit. So I was doing a live stream. I was watching along, and I wasn't sure because Jared Cannonier, 40 years old, been around for a while, perennial contender, fought for the belt, still looks great. I mean, the physique on that guy, holy shit.
He blew my mind in that fight. And, at 40, you expect to see a guy slow down. And when a guy gets roughed up, dropped multiple times in that first round, and when they're even standing next to each other at the freaking weigh-in, I knew Robocop was a big boy. But holy shit, man, he is just a massive ball of muscle. And Jarrett took those licks, and his corner kept imploring, like, hey, he's getting tired. Just keep the pressure on him. And just eventually started to break him. And Michael, you know this. I get excited. There's KOs. We all react. I literally went like this. I had a pen in my hand, and when he got it done, and, now that the fight's over, obviously we're not allowed to pick sides. We're not allowed to be rooting for anybody, but Jared knows this. I'm a huge Jared Cannonier fan. I'm also 40 years old. So to see a guy go out there and get it done, I was like, yeah. And I'm shaking my head. Yeah. And the amount of shit that I'm getting online of people being like, how much money did Felder have on Robocop? Oh, he's showing his emotions. He's mad. I swear to God, to people, if you're watching the Believe You Me podcast now, I was by no means upset by that. I like Robocop too, but man, I was
That's
impressed.
not what you text me, Paul. You said you had a secret side bet, $5,000 on. You got it in. Listen, I can attest.
You're not getting your cut now because we went in on that one together. And now
you are a pen thrower. I have seen you throw your pen in passion multiple times. So when you said that, I'm like, yeah, dude, you do it all the time. And you often catch me off guard. I'm like, holy shit, that can ricochet off and get me in the eye. Stop throwing pens, Mr. Felder.
Yeah, we need to keep your eyes as safe as possible when we're cage side. That's guaranteed. So yeah, I mean, that being done, I was just so impressed and so happy to see a guy who had a couple losses his last couple fights. Things didn't go his way. The stoppage with Imavov was maybe a little early. Then he goes and drops another one, and it's like, man, maybe this is the end. Maybe the age is starting to kick in, and things aren't going to plan. And then you get a guy like Gregory Rodriguez. You got to fight out of the rankings. You got to take on this guy that's been surging, and you get the job done like that, and you get a stoppage. Dude's been in 8 main events, Michael. 8 main events. I think 6 in a row. And I think that really paid dividends for him. I think him having that 5-round experience, finished it in the 4th. Gregory Rodriguez, as hard and as tough as he is, he was gassed. He was gassed bad, and then he was getting hurt bad. That elbow, dude, that dropped him and didn't even finish him. Jared didn't even know the round was over. He thought at first that was the end of the fight, and then he hurt. He was like, why aren't people as excited as I am about this. I thought that was funny.
He pulled an Anderson Silva when he flying kneed me in the face. So the thing about Robocop, listen, I love watching him fight. He is gigantic for the weight class. Maybe a move up to 205 in the future. Because you got to think, and I'm not taking away from the victory, that weight cut has to affect him. Also, when you've got that kind of power, you know, you're going to get tired. You can't generate that kind of power, but then go 5 rounds. You know, I mean, listen, some people, it's minimized and diminished a little bit, but you can still have a pop, you know, but going 5 rounds, Jared Cannonier, as you said, lots of main events, lots of experience. But Robocop just comes out there, and it's crazy because he's got world-class jiu-jitsu. Yeah. He's won the championship multiple times. He's a world champion. And you know what? When you land that shot, it's an addictive feeling. And that's what we're seeing here. We see it with a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, a lot of wrestlers. It's fun to take someone down, I'm sure, and use the gentle art and get a little omoplata, transition to the side, and, oh, look at this, I've got a choke. But do you know how good it feels as a man to go out there and go, off and just drop someone and it's over?
The best feeling in the world. The best feeling in the world, man. When you are there and you know it's finally done and you see that ref pull you off, for people at home, there is no way to truly describe you that feeling of like, it's over. I did it. It's done. Not only that, like there's no question. There's no question about it. There's no, even with taps sometimes, like, oh, no, I didn't tap. It's like when you're out cold on the goddamn floor, you have nothing to say. There's nothing you can complain about. I won the fight.
The stoppage, though, in round 4, I'm just bringing up the fight card. The stoppage in round 4, fair play. Jared drops him with that elbow, goes to work, and then in round 4, picks up exactly where he left off. And that's what I love to see. Sometimes you don't see fighters capitalize on that momentum as much as what they should. Jared knew, hold on, he was hurt. He was in a bad way. Put it on him straight away. Beautiful jabs, and then just a series of right hooks until the referee stepped in. Beautiful, fantastic work, and a massive win for him to say to the world, hey, I'm still relevant in this division. Yes, I'm 40 years old. Yeah, I might have lost a couple, but don't sleep on me. Don't think I'm not still one of the best. And I think that was the whole narrative for Jared coming into that one.
Yeah, 100%. When we talked to him that week, that's what he was saying. He's like, look, I just want to go out there. He respected everything about Rodriguez and his skills, but he really knew that he was confident he was going to not only win, but that he was going to get him out of there. And I think they knew that as long as they got through the first opening round, the storm that Rodriguez brings early, I think they knew that if he could still be standing and still be pressuring, he looked in phenomenal shape. He also talked a lot about just his footwork and being grounded. And you could see that he worked on that, and he made sure that he was putting everything into those shots. But Jared also knows how to kind of take his time in those fights. He's been through 5-round decisions. He's been through those battles, and man, the experience showed. His toughness showed just more than anything. I mean, he got fucked up a little bit in that first round. I thought it was done. I was like, holy shit. Like if he gets dropped one more time, the ref's going to be looking, because twice in the first round alone, and then it just started all going his way. Robocop, he kind of recovered a little bit going into the second, but after he got dropped in that third round, man, you should have seen the corner. It was like, oh boy. I mean, even Henry Hooft was like, hey, Gregory, are you here? Are you here? Like trying to really make sure, like, hey, you got to listen to me. We got to focus. We're in a fight right now. And you could tell he was responding, but
I'm trying to figure out some Robocop references. I don't know how well you know the movies. I'm having trouble. Do you know that bit? Do you know the bit?
I haven't seen that one in forever, to be honest.
Robocop 2. You know when Robocop kind of gets rewired and he goes all woke and he's speaking to the kids that are in like they're spraying him with paint and he's telling stories and stuff and he's like, I'm having trouble. Anyway, and then he goes up and sticks his hands into like the end, refries his brain, and then he's back to being Murphy. I do believe it was
Murphy. Yeah, I think you're right.
Murphy. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll have Jared on in a little bit. Saturday, I just got back from Sydney. I'm still jet lagged, of course.
Oh, man.
But Lucas wanted to go to a wrestling tournament. I've just been away for 3 weeks. I could not be bothered. It was like, it's in San Dimas, about an hour away. And he wasn't even competing, but he just wanted to go. with his teammates because it was varsity and he's a freshman. So like the guy in his weight class is a year older. So he wasn't the representative, but he wanted to go and support the teammate. I've just come back from Sydney. I'm like, this, but because I've been away, I had to do it. You know what I mean? So I drive there just to let him hang out with his buddies. So I didn't, by the time I got back, because it was an early card, I didn't see the prelims. I didn't see Andre Petrosky versus Rodolfo Vieira. On the prelims, any big moments there? I know Chaos William got choked out unconscious because I'm looking at the card.
Dude, yeah, I had a pretty funny up on that one, right? So he's in that show.
I saw it online. Go on.
Bro, you know how it is, Michael. You're watching these things, and I can't feel the squeeze. I don't know. And it wasn't, you know how when you get that choke, like when it's in deep, you see them really grabbing a hold of their bicep, and he was kind of a little loose. And I was like, I don't know. It might be burning his arms out. It looks like it's loose. And I mean, seconds after that, the ref comes in, notices his arms limp, pulls him off, and he is just snoozing. And I was like, well, I admitted it right there. I was like, well, yeah. I couldn't have been more wrong about that situation. That was a great fight. And the Petrosky Rodolfo fight was kind of what we all expected. It was a stand-up fight where Petrosky got the better wrestling, so he was able to defend all that. They both landed some pretty good strikes, but Petrosky was able to control that. But Jose Delgado from the lab, great story there, because obviously Jared Cannonier is one of the guys that he really has looked up to the whole time being a student at the lab. And they've kind of talked about putting it into existence that someday they're going to fight on the same card. And he was on the undercard, obviously, of the main event for Jared. And Jared spoke about that in the speech. And that kid, he put it on Connor Matthews, who I actually ran into that night in the casino too. And man, it's always tough to run into these guys after they take a tough loss like that, right? Because I know how that feels. I know what's going through your mind. He's lost a couple in a row. He's worried about his job. So, but Delgado looked unbelievable. Yeah. Big for the division. Yeah. Really good striker. To your point, though,
it is when you run into them later on and they've lost a fight, and you know, of course, we've been there, and you're trying to find the right words, but you don't want to be condescending at the same time, because fighters can feel that. They can feel it. It's like I was just messaging with Shara Bullet. Because Shara, there was a rumor that he'd retired, and he shot me a DM, and I said, you know, how are you and stuff like that. And he ain't retired. He's just taking a little bit of time off to regroup and whatnot. So I look forward to the return. But yeah, it's always tricky. You got to find the right words. But as I say, without sounding condescending or patronizing, and you almost, you know, like the guy gets knocked out cold. You're like, you were doing great. You were doing great.
Up until you got knocked out.
You know, it's just a game. That's what I always say. It's like when I saw Anthony Smith after the Dominic Reyes fight. I saw him backstage, and you know, we shared some words. I said, it's a tough game, man. It's a tough game. Yeah. You know, and he goes, it is. But that's it. You know, that's kind of how it goes. All right, this episode is brought to you by Shopify. Now, if you're thinking of starting a business, or if you already have a business and you're not online, you're not selling to the worldwide audience, then really, what are you doing? And that is what Shopify offers, and it makes it extremely simple. Nobody does it better than Shopify. It is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet, and the not so secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%. What that means is way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going on. So whatever it is that you're into, grow your business, your commerce platform, and you better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in the store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. So if you have an idea for a business, or you have a business and you're not selling, then you really need to try Shopify right now. And check this out. You can sign up for $1 per month trial period. You don't have to be an expert in coding. You haven't got to know how to design a website. You just go to shopify.com/believe, all lowercase, and they will do it all for you. A trial period, $1 per month. You can start selling to the worldwide audiences. All major payment methods accepted. Shopify.com/believe to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/believe. Anthony Smith, by the way, he's fighting Zhang Mingyang.
Yeah.
Zhang Ming, do you know what? We'll talk about this because people will expect us to, of course. And I wish Anthony the best. It's his retirement fight. It's in Kansas City, which is kind of like a home game for him, coming from Nebraska. Taking on Zhang Ming Yang, though. Hey, you can't say that Anthony hasn't got balls. This guy, I forget his record off the top of my head. Every single one of his wins has been in the first round. His last one was in Macau. I commentated it. I remember when he was giving his post-fight speech, screaming his head off in Chinese, and his veins are popping out of his neck. And I'm standing there thinking, this guy's a handful. He's a big, strong, young, aggressive bastard. Granted, he's got a few losses, but Anthony doesn't want to lay up. He could have asked for an easier matchup. So fair play to him.
Yeah. And you know, and I think that Anthony knows that, right? He's a well-known established fighter in the UFC. They're not going to give you any, even if it's your retirement fight. That's how this business works, is you're still going to have to fight. 18-6 with 12 KOs. We just got it from Harrington on the side there. So no easy matchups. And all I hope is that now that he's had a lot of time to process everything, and like you talked about, fighting in Kansas City, fighting close to home, you hope that the motivation is there. And if that's the case, Anthony's got to remember that he's a bastard to deal with too when he's in there and when he's on his game. So that's just an exciting fight. I'll be calling that one. So, you know, not that I
no.
Listen, for anybody, but I'll be rooting for somebody.
May the best man win.
Yeah,
may the best man win. Of course, he's got to be motivated for that one. Your final fight. Of course, the last couple of situations didn't go his way. And, you know, he's had some ups and downs recently, shall we say, with his record. Your final fight, if that can't get you up for it, and certainly against this guy that's super dangerous with the striking, you got to pull out all the stops, because it's only when you're done fighting and retiring, when you retire from fighting, because we I don't know if we have spoke about this, but I always say, when you look back, you know, because I have some regrets from my career. You know, like some of my regrets were, I take better care of my body now than what I did when I was fighting.
Yeah,
I was reckless. You know, I partied. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I was in training camp, I was switched on. I would run every day. I wouldn't touch alcohol. But after a fight, it was out the window. My diet went to shit. I didn't look after my body in between fights. And then I would pick up. And so that's my big regret. You know, so for Anthony, he's just got to go out and make sure he prepares the way he should, do all the work, be in phenomenal shape, don't get tired. And I wish him nothing but the best. But what are some of your regrets, Paul?
It's very similar, Michael. And it's because of the weight cuts too, right? You're so strict in camp that when it's all said and done, you're just so ready to have fun, to do everything that you couldn't do. And for me, I was the same way. No drinking, no anything during training camp. But in between, I mean, I loved drinking my beers. I loved eating shitty food and snacks and lots of candy and all that kind of crap. And I would get up to almost 200 pounds, and I fought at lightweight. So another camp comes around and got to do it all over again and torture myself. And the only other regret I would say that I had was I got a little bitter towards the sport after I lost to Dan, who we'll get to kind of go over all that today too, which will be fun. But I should have fought more. I think when I was still kind of in my prime and I was still only 35, 36, even though I was upset that I wasn't necessarily getting those the top tier guys after a couple losses, I should have just regrouped and got my head out of my ass a little bit. But instead, I was ready to move on. I started doing triathlons and was competitive in that way. So I was able to kind of just push it away. But now that I'm 40 and I've been retired for almost 5 years, basically, I think I would have given a few more fights to the career. But I also know that the motivation wasn't there at the time. So there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, staying healthy and being more dialed in nutrition-wise. So I was always training. I never stopped training. I would just train and then go drink a 6-pack and eat a pint of ice cream after
but that's okay.
You know?
That's okay. You're always training. We were just talking right before we started. I saw a video of you on Instagram in the gym with the guys pushing hard. And I was like, I would be blowing out of my ass doing that stuff right now. But of course, you do the triathlon stuff. You said you got a little bitter about the sport. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I obviously, when I dropped that close decision to Hooker, I was ready to retire. That's why I was almost retiring in the cage. And Dan kind of stopped me, put my hand up. And I think he was kind of looking out for me like, nah, man, like this was close. It went my way, but you don't have to walk away from it right now. And I came back and I was like, maybe I'll take another fight. But I just didn't even want to go to the gym anymore. I didn't want to train anymore. I was so upset that I lost that fight because I knew I was going to get what Dan got, that I was going to get the Poirier fights, that I could be calling out Connor, I could be calling out Gaethje. That was going to put me into those positions to not only get closer to the title, but to get those big fights that would get me the bigger contracts to make me a lot more money. And when that went away and I already had the commentary job, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I didn't even want to be a part of the sport anymore.
See, that's interesting because I had similar situations when I fought Chael Sonnen. If I'd have beaten him, I was fighting Anderson Silva for the title. Now, granted, in retrospect, I probably wasn't ready for Anderson Silva back then anyway, so everything kind of worked out for the best. But I didn't have a commentary job, so I was like, well, you know, most of the grindstone, forget it. It didn't go my way. Let's go. Do you think in hindsight, having the commentary job kind of maybe... I don't mean affected your career negatively, but did it affect your career negatively?
No, you're right. I think for that reason, at that point in my life, I think it made that decision may become more abrupt than it would have. Because if I even joked with Christine about it, I'm like, you know, I may have never done that if I didn't have that job. I would have kept fighting because that's how I would have been making my money. But having the commentary job made that decision a little quicker.
Well, fortunately, you can talk very well, so you can podcast very well, and you have a bunch of connections, and you've reached out to one of them, the victorious Youssef Zalal, one of the biggest smiles in all the game. How we doing, Youssef?
What's up, guys?
Are you there? Oh, he's got a terrible connection. This is awesome. Yeah, we got you, buddy. We got you. How you doing? Say something, Paul. Take over.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear us? Or are we delayed?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's weird, you know?
Yeah.
Are you on Bluetooth on your car? Do you want to hang up and come back, Youssef? Maybe that'll...
All right, let me do that. Yeah, let me do that.
All right, okay. Yeah, thanks. Do it on a computer. Do it on a computer.
All the fighters. I'm sure
it's always in the car.
I worry about Dan too. I worry about what Dan.
You leave this bit in, Brian.
Guys, please. If we bring you on Michael's esteemed Believe You Me podcast, where we pull out all the stops, the best production value. I got a ring light, Michael. Come on.
Jesus Christ. I've got monitors all over the place. I've got fancy little lights back there. I have a gigantic setup, you know. Guys, get it together. At least get on Wi-Fi. The 3G's bullshit these days. We know, okay? The signal isn't good. Go and get in a Starbucks or something. Sit in a McDonald's.
Where's the closest cafe? Go get in a cafe and do
my
this.
God. Anyway,
nobody will hear. Hold on, let's see. There he is. That's so much better. That's
Come
so
on,
much
buddy.
better.
He's in.
Hey, I was like, damn, now I'm ranked. I better have a better internet. What the hell's going on?
Exactly. Not only are you on the number one MMA show on the planet, but you're also going to be ranked. And you should be ranked this morning. Youssef Zalal, let's do this again. The Moroccan, what is it? The Moroccan Devil?
Moroccan Devil.
Hey, come on now.
Devils. Let's go. Hey, buddy, congrats on Saturday night. What a fight.
Thank you, man. I feel like a lot of critics out there not seeing all they seeing is that third round, and it's like they're not seeing the second round. I mean, I am hard on myself. You can ask my coaches, even in the post-fight interview. You know what I mean? I was like, I wanted to go out there and perform. You know what I mean? And really show out. I feel like I did that, you know, in a way. But obviously, I didn't get to finish. I wanted to be the first guy to finish him and all that stuff. But there's a lot of things behind that thing that I feel some type of way about, especially you try to cheat this game and stuff like that. But it is what it is, man. I'm just happy that I got to piss off a lot of people in a way, and they got to see the other side of that. I don't really get that side out of that much, to be honest. I'm like, I feel like I'm one of the most humble guys and the most just go out there and have some fun. You know what I mean? But you trying to cheat the game, and you around and find out. So there you go.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you about that, right? Because I saw some of that stuff in the post-fight interview, Youssef. But I want to talk about the fight itself before we get into that kind of stuff, because I understand your frustration, right? When you have a performance like that, when you're fighting a really dangerous guy and you're working on trying to get into the top 10, there's a lot on the line. You finished everybody in the UFC on the second time that you've been in so far. And then you get a guy who's really dangerous, who's got nothing to lose, right? He's coming out there, he's got a few losses, and he's coming really hard to try to get a win. And your freaking footwork, you could not be found. And I think a lot of people, if they're only looking at the third round, it's like, well, then you missed the masterclass of movement that you put on, because that's all I could talk about when you were fighting, was the fact that just when you think you're finally going to track down Zalal, you're getting smacked with a jab, then you're getting kicked in the calf, and then you're throwing up knees up the middle. So you never let them set their feet. Is that something that you're constantly working on, or is that something you've always been good at? Because I remember you having good movement the first time around, but since you've been back, guys can't hit you, man.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I'm trying, bro. I feel like a lot of these guys are like, I feel like, which I understand, you know what I mean? You fans pay for the fights like Gaethje style and all this stuff and that, but they don't look at the like masterpieces of, oh my God, like the guy took 700 significant strikes to the head and stuff like that. But I'm like, I look at it in a way, I'm like, how can I stay active? How can I do this? And how can I jump on opportunities and allowing myself to even still perform and go, you know what I mean? And the challenge in the puzzle, you know what I mean? You're not going to hear a lot of people say, hey, Calvin Caden only landed 24% of his strikes and he threw almost like 200 strikes or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that kind of people don't like look at that in perspective, you know what I mean? They look at it like, oh, he just ran and all this stuff like that. But obviously I feel like me training with heavyweights since I was a young kid, and like I had like that Dominic Cruz stylish and like all this stuff, and it kind of like really helped me move. And obviously, especially now the second stint, I like still engage a little bit more, still come in, still trust my striking and stuff like that. And I feel like that helped a lot.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, don't worry about it, Youssef, because there's always going to be critics out there. Twitter is a cesspool of hatred.
Bro, I'm not even on Twitter.
Well, Paul Felder's biased because he was throwing his pens. I'm biased every time I commentate anybody from Europe. You suck and avoid fights all the time, which is bullshit because you're 3-0 in the UFC with finishes. Now you got your fourth win against Calvin Cater. You looked sensational in the first 2 rounds. And yeah, okay, a little evasive in round 3. My question is, though, what was going through your mind when Calvin Cater, who is dangerous, was coming at you, swinging, kicking, doing it? He's like, I'm going to get the bastard. I'm going to get him. What's going through your mind?
Everything he had, man.
Well, so like one of my part is like, a lot of people don't know this. Like I have this giant ass ego. I was like, man, I was like, let's just go bing. Let's just, it's the third round. Let's just do it, whatever, you know what I mean? But one side was like, okay, motherfucker, you want to do this? You might, because he is throwing. So I was like, yeah, he might actually hurt you a little bit. So I was like, yeah, let's just stay smart about it. And I think what like one thing is like, and this is where I'm gonna say this is gonna be the best thing that's ever happened to me is I felt that energy more of like, wow, like this is the experience level guy, like this is the high level guy. And I think I kind of felt that a little bit in the third round. And I was kind of like, let the name be there, you know what I mean? And I know my coach told me in the beginning when I walked out, he's like, hey, just a body, remove the name, remove the face, you know what I mean? Just remove the face. And I kind of like put a lot of pressure in that way, and like, oh my God, like I'm fighting Cater and I'm like a huge fan and all this stuff. So I kind of like mess a little bit with that, but it is what it is. This is the growth game, and there is no excuses, and I would never have excuses, and I'm just excited for my growth, and I can't wait to see what's the next one. You know what I mean? So I'm just happy, man.
Is there anybody now that you're up there in the ranks? Now you've got some leverage, right? That's important in this game, especially in the UFC, right? Having that leverage of having a number next to your name. I know when you don't have it, it's easy to be like, oh, nobody wants to fight me. I can't get these guys. Now you're in the mix. When you look at the featherweight division, you look at the guys that are above you, right below you, who do you want to fight?
Hold on. And we have 2 rules. 1, always have good Wi-Fi. 2, you got to give us a name.
There's got to be somebody.
I made your wish come true, though, huh? I was like, hold on, man. I know Bisping's ass is gonna say some shit. I was like, I know Bisping's ass is gonna say some shit. So I was like, let me get the good internet, bro, because I can't have his ass blowing my ass up on YouTube and none of that. Hell no, bro. I try to get roasted today. But nah, man, I know Yair is looking for an opponent. I know the Diego thing didn't happen and stuff like that. And I mean, I feel like all these guys, man, they want like 6-month camp, 6 this, 6 that. Like, I've been the most active I've ever been. You know what I mean? I fought 4 fights in 11 months, and I'm calling out my opportunity. I have the bigger dreams and stuff like that. So it is what it is. So that's the guy I called for, and I hope I get it. And we'll see what it is, especially after Ramadan. I told him, I was like, I'll fight in June or end of May.
Okay. So I was going to ask you, because you came to the UFC, you had a couple of wins, then you lost 3 in a row, then you come back and you look great. You're still only 28 years old. I was going to say, do you think you came here a little early? But then I'm looking at your record right here. The 3 people that you lost to, Ilia Topuria via decision, the Korean Superboy, who's very, very good, and then Sean Woodson, who I'm telling you has the potential to be a superstar. The real question I want to ask you, being in there with Ilia Topuria, what do you make of this guy? Obviously, now there's talk of him going up to 155 and challenging Islam. Like, what was your experience sharing a cage with Ilia Topuria?
Oh, it was a different feeling, man. It was like you can see the confidence and then the energy that he brings. He like, that's the biggest difference, I think. And I heard him say something about like the Dagestanis, when you pressure him and all that, like they kind of like, that's when the mistakes happen. And he's that guy. He's the guy that brings mistakes out of you. You know what I mean? Because you feel like, oh, I'm just fine. I'm long. I'm just going to be long. And boom, he's in. You know what I mean? Against Volk is the same thing that happened. You know, Volk was elusive first round, pop him with a jab, pop him with the kicks, being the game plan like you're supposed to do with Ilia. You know what I mean? And to experience that, like, it taught me a lot of experience, you know, and I get to bring you against a guy like Cater, who's trying to take your head off in the 3rd round, that you got to be able to be like, okay, like I can't just stand still. I got to be ready. And everybody brings styles. Styles make matchups. You know what I mean? So for me to have that in my back pocket, to have that experience, it means a lot to me, man. And I'm telling you, man, I'm not going to stop growing, and I can't wait to continue growing. And I'm excited to see who they're going to give next. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. I mean, like Michael just said, it's still on the better side of 30, bro. You got a lot of time. Now you're in the mix. You're going to be ranked. I'm checking the UFC website. They still haven't changed the rankings yet, but I imagine you'll be right there at number 10. I imagine you would take this spot.
I don't know if they like my ass or don't like my ass.
No, there's no way. You're on a win streak. You've been finishing guys, and then you go and beat the number 10 guy. You're going to get the number 10 spot. But now let's talk a little shit, right? Because I saw the post-fight presser, and you know, you don't strike me as a guy that's trying to just make shit up or have excuses for anything. What did you feel in there that made you think this ain't sweat? Something's going on here.
Oh, and just to give everyone a bit of backstory, you're saying that Calvin Kattar, his legs were greased.
His body, his whole body. It's not even just legs, his whole body. It's like, look at the 3rd round. Look at how shiny he is in the 3rd round. Look at me in the 3rd round. Just look at the difference between me and him in the 3rd round.
And I'll be honest, with your skin tone, you would be the shinier person.
Yeah.
Light skins, we out here shine a little bit, you know, whatever. But
you don't like the pasty white guys, you know what I mean? We look like shit. You know, you got a nice tan.
I know. I seen Paul Felder fight, and I see him sweat. I never seen somebody shining like that. I'm just want to let you know. But
and I was a sweaty bastard too.
Exactly. So look at the 3rd round. Look at how deep that shot was. And I got him all the way down, and all of a sudden, and then even in the clinch, it was like these slippers. It's like the slides. You know what I mean? So I'm like, in a way, it is what it is. It's like it kind of like messed with me a little bit. Like I told him in the corner, I was like, because the game plan was to take him down. And I swear to God, right now, if we have a jiu-jitsu match, I will finish Cater. I would 100% finish Cater and submit him. But to go in, and I'm like, it kind of got discouraged a little bit. And I was like, bro, it's like I told the coaches in the 2nd round, I was like, the takedown is not working. I was like, it's not there. I was like, because when somebody comes in, and that's when I time my takedown. You know, that's like even at the point of the second round, I got him so worried about it. He sprawled so hard. You know what I mean? So I know that was in the back of his head. So I'm like, in a way, I'm like, whatever, man. I'm like, I'm not the guy that ever makes shit up. Even when I lost or won, does not matter. You know what I mean? And why would I make shit up when I win? Like, that's the crazy part is I can just go on and not do this. But I was like, bro, don't cheat the sport. Like, don't try to cheat the sport. Like, if you're going to go out, go on like you should. Like, all these fans are saying, oh, my God, like, you die by the sword or live by the sword. I'm like, it's so easy to sit there and have a 145-pounder just trying to take your head off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Easier said from the outside looking in. Right?
I mean, obviously Kelvin's gonna say that he wasn't, and Kelvin will also say, I always say Kelvin, it's Calvin, and Calvin's gonna say, well, we get checked by the commission on the way in. What would your answer to that be?
We don't. The only thing they check in is when you get to the face, to the front, and all they do is touch you, good, get in. They don't check you. And no disrespect, he comes from a camp that he went to that's known for allegations of, hey, GSP's on Vaseline. Oh, this is on this. This is on that. I'm just sorry. I'm not the first one to say it from Faras's gym. So
what was GSP doing with that Vaseline?
With BJ Penn.
I know. It's a very immature joke.
And speaking of Faras is one of the greatest minds in the whole MMA community. You can't teach your fighter a simple how to cut off angle, how to throw kicks, how to throw this. You expect this to win because of boxing, and you got outboxed. That's the crazy part is I'm like, in a way, it's like, man, for us, like, I'm a very respectful guy, man. I never talk smack about nobody, but to talk to me like that about like, how much running you gonna do? It's so easy, bro. We're at the apex. You could stop it so easy. You're one of the greatest minds in the planet. And this is your game plan is to be like, hey, I want you to throw 300 punches and don't worry about your defense.
Yeah. And
go on. Sorry, Paul. Sorry.
No. I was just going to say, you also in the post-fight interview, you mentioned that. What did they say to you? They said something like easy work or something to him? That seemed to really get under your skin,
They were like, I'm being all respectful, you know. He's like hardcore eyeballing me the whole time, like even at the PI.
Who, Calvin?
Yeah, Calvin at the PI, whatever. But Calvin was always been respectful. Calvin never said something. He never like said something out of the disrespect or nothing. He never did nothing. And I go to the weigh-ins because we had it at the Palace Station at the hotel. And then I was like, all right, well, like, what's going on? We had it over there. And then I had an interview with Megan for the ESPN. And I see all his people just full on, like, hardcore looking at me and staring at me. And I said, what the hell's going on here? I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And then as soon as I'm done, the face-off comes in. And then they were like, Youssef versus Calvin, blah, blah. We came in and said, what's up? And then my professor was like, let's go, UC. And then all I heard from that corner, like, oh, easy money or light work and all this. And I was like, you guys want to disrespect the sport? No problem. Cool, no problem. And I was like, I'm being nice and all that stuff. And obviously he got more tickets, right? He's a number 10. He's been in the game for a long time. So obviously it's the Apex. And apparently I'm the first guy to get booed at the Apex. Whatever. It is what it is.
Oh, that's bullshit. I've heard plenty of booing at the Apex, buddy.
But that's what they say. And they're like this. And I know Calvin had like a lot of fans in there because of him and obviously the caliber he is. I requested for extra tickets. They said, nope, you're not getting extra tickets. But I was like, whatever, man. It is what it is. I understand the game. And I just went there and they kind of got the light-skinned side out of me that I don't like to get out unless somebody talks smack to me, man. And I was like, it is what it is, you know? And I kind of went there and I'm like, I'm glad that I did what I did.
Youssef, you got to bring this side of you out more, right? But without being a disrespectful prick, but like, people want to be engaged. People want to see skill in the octagon, but they want to invest in people. And your character, I mean, obviously you're representing Morocco as a nation. You've got tremendous skills. You're on a 4-fight win streak. You've just beat Calvin Kattar, and you've got a massive personality. You need to do all the podcasts, interviews as much as possible, man, because you tick every single box, my brother, and you are talking mad shit on everyone, and I love it.
Hey, bro, the only thing that pissed me off is the Faraz thing. Like, bro, you're such a known, knowledgeable guy for here, bro. Like, don't ever disrespect me, and don't ever. And that bum manager too. I can't remember his name. Is not Cater's manager. This other manager's like, this is why we can't have open scoring. Blah blah. You should just coast to the third round. I'm like, bro, I can't wait to see you at one of these fights and look at you in my face and be like, hey, don't ever bring my name up in Twitter ever again. If you guys say something, say to my face. Now get off my face. And then I'll see what he's going to say. And I'll fight anybody he has. Even hopefully he has somebody ranked at the 45 division.
Who's the manager? Who are you talking about? I don't even
know his bum-ass name. But I'll find out and I'll tell you. That's how crazy it is.
Is that Rubenstein?
I think it is maybe
Jason House?
No. Jason House is my manager. That's my boy.
Okay.
So maybe
watch when I see that bum-ass manager. Just watch. He knows it too.
I'm ready. I hope I'm at that fight.
Bro, I'm being all respectful to all these guys. Like, I never said nothing. Like, I don't care about the fans, bro. The fans can say whatever they want. Like, you're not the one who goes in. Like, I don't give a damn what they say. You know what I mean? Like, but you're a manager. You got these fighters, and you got the bum ass fighters that you have. Like, you manage. Don't talk to me. Don't come talk to me like that. And don't ever put my name in your world. Don't ever do that.
All right. Well, Youssef, we're going to have to say goodbye in just a second. I got one final question for you. And by the way, we got to do this again. You can come on this show anytime you want. You bring this energy, you can have the show. My wife and I, we watched this cooking show where they travel around the world, and they went to Morocco, and they were walking around Morocco. My wife's like, oh my God, we've got to go to Morocco. It just looks incredible. And I'm like, I don't know, baby, if everything looks like that, but she's got it in her head. We're going to Morocco sometime soon. Where should we go? If you were advising someone to go to Morocco for the first time, give me a spot.
Oh, bro, you got to go to Marrakesh. Marrakesh is the spot. Marrakesh, so you're going to have some fun. You can go to Fez. If you like more like very touristy European or like beach and all that, you can go to Tangier as well. But obviously you have to stop at Casablanca. Casablanca is famous. So that's the biggest city in the white city. So you have to stop there as well.
But can let's just say, I'm trying to pick my words carefully with it. It's a Muslim country. So can my wife be walking around? Fine.
Bro, your ass get there. Come on, bro. They'll treat your ass well. Don't worry about that. And your wife, bro. You guys about to be the hot couple of the season, bro.
Let's go.
How your ass gets your wife, bro? I don't even know how your ass. What was your game, bro? I don't know when it comes to your ass, huh?
Hey, it's 2016 all over again. I'm going to Morocco. Come on.
Hey, he was like knocking everybody out. He was like, so what's up, baby? How you doing? My name is Michael Bisping.
knocking people out in bars back then. That's probably what was happening with Michael.
Oh shit.
Hey, I love that.
Hey, we're gonna have to let you go. We've got a couple more guests jumping on. Youssef, congrats on the fight. Congrats on all your performance. You deserve it all. I'm excited to see you again. I'm excited to talk to you again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Dude. You're the man, bro.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.
Take care.
Later, bro.
Wow. He's awesome.
He's awesome, dude. I that's why when you brought him up, I'm like, yes. Because I thought of him, and then when you said it, I'm like, yeah, this is the guy to get on. He's coming off a win. There's a little controversy going on too, which is always fun to talk about on the show. And I know he didn't get the finish like he talked about, but the kid clearly has the ability to compete in the upper echelon of the featherweight division, man. He's got movement. And like he said, he was having trouble getting him down. If he got that fight to the ground, I do think he possibly could have got a submission. He's slick on the mat.
Yeah, he is. He's slick everywhere. And those three losses again, the Korean Superboy, Sean Woodson, who's 6'3" at the weight, and
only
Ilia,
the best guys.
Topuria.
And he was saying he thinks he won the Woodson fight. So, I mean.
Yeah. He's got a bright future for sure, man. All right, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, which is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less. It's that easy on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Sounds too good to be true, but it really is that easy. And that is what you can win. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. So as I say, all you got to do is you go online, whatever it is, football, baseball, basketball, UFC, whatever you're into, and you pick a lineup of up to 2 to 6 different players, and you just pick more or less. Like, for example, if it's UFC, will such and such land more than 2 takedowns? Will he get more than 3 significant strikes? Stuff like that. It really is that easy. Even a fool can play. As I say, you can now win up to 1,000 times your money. All-Star Weekend is almost here, and PrizePicks is the best place to win cash while watching your favorite players during the game and Saturday night events like the 3-point contest. Now, right now, I'm looking at the basketball board. We all know that Mikey B loves a bit of basketball. So this week on PrizePicks, Jason Tatum, for more than 29 points, will he get more or less? And Anthony Edwards, will he get more or less than 25 points? Also, Luka Doncic, will he get more or less than 8 assists? It really is that easy. PrizePicks, download the app today. Use the code BELIEVE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is, download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code BELIEVE to get $50 off after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. What should we do? Should we hear from Harrington for a second? I mean, we pay him a fee, so we might as well say hello.
Yeah.
Harrington, are you there? Let's see if he's muted.
No, I'm here. Mike's on. Good to go, boys. What's up?
What's up?
Not much, buddy. How you doing? Tell us about what is going on with ad sales in cars these days. Is that the one we're going to go for?
Dude,
I
I knew this would get under your skin specifically. So when I sent it over, and I was right. The parent company, I believe it's called Stellantis. They own Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Ram, aka the Mopar companies. From the early war of the American car. They have this new program where on your infotainment system, where your GPS, your calls, your music is, anytime you stop at a light, they are now hitting you with warranties for said Mopar cars. And they are reaching out to other companies to try to get advertising, for across the board. Jeep owners are figuring out how to hack their Jeep to get this crap off their screen.
Yeah. So you said it in a very complicated way. Basically, when you stop at a traffic light, your screen will turn into a TV and show you ads. And I've got so much to say about this. They can go themselves at the highest order. And now I know a lot of people complain about the ads on the podcast. I don't on YouTube. We're doing 2 ads on this episode. Suck it up, baby. Right? These guys can go themselves. Paul, I'll let you have your first take because I've got a lot to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolute bullshit, dude. And even beyond that, I saw I'll put my tinfoil hat on. We like to do that here on the show. But I saw this whole thing about how there's a way to kind of almost communicate through dreams. They did this crazy study where 2 people were in REM sleep next to each other, and they told one person something, and the other person was able to hear that in their dream. And then I read this whole conspiracy thing about how that eventually in the future, now I don't know when, but that they would be willing to do ads in your sleep, Michael.
Oh, no.
Can you imagine? Now you can't drive. And in the future, if we're old enough to be alive when this shit's happening, you won't even be able to have a proper dream. You'll be having some fantasy dream, some real nice moment. And I don't know what it's going to be like. Presented to you by McDonald's. And go in today to get a double cheeseburger.
I was literally thinking, how's this going to link back to the story? What's Paul talking about?
Where is Paul going? He's just been holding on to this dream thing he wants to talk about. No, it was about ad.
My wife and I talk about it all the time. Eventually, there's going to be Sky Plus. Like, you're going to need to pay money to see the sky itself. It's just going to be ads up there.
I had a crazy dream the other night, but we're not talking about that. I dreamt I was fighting again, like I was now in my condition. I took a fight last minute. I was in London. It felt so real, and I was in my shirt and tie. I must have been commentating or something. And I was like, hold on. And I was having a little shadow box, and I'm like,
I got to fight.
And I started like seriously regretting it, thinking, shit, I'm not ready. I haven't trained. I can't do 1 round, but fuck it, we'll give it a go. But back to the start, to the story. Right. Number one, right. Of course. Right. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants it. But companies and corporations, they're going to try and make money. It annoys me. You can't look at your phone. I get that. Right. So now we're going to be looking at ads when we should be paying attention around to everything around us.
Yeah.
Someone's going to get killed. But more importantly, if they're going to sell ads, are you going to reduce the cost of the car? No,
Yeah.
you're not.
Yeah,
I haven't
exactly.
signed up to have these advertisers advertise. What about if I just want to go for a quiet drive and just zone out and be alone with my thoughts? But yeah, I've got, hey, brought to you by such and such. Kiss my ass.
So crazy. I mean, it's getting so invasive. It's ridiculous. You can't watch anything or do anything now without it constantly be right down your throat. The car. I mean, when I saw that when you guys sent that out in the notes, I was like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And every car now has that nice big old screen right there on your console, so you can't avoid it. You can't turn that thing off.
The streaming services, they're all doing it now. Have you noticed? Brought to you with limited ads. I watched, what did I watch the other night on Amazon? I watched a good film on Amazon. Forget it. Who cares? I watched a film, but you got to sit through 3.5 minutes of ads. And then halfway through the film, it's like, hold on, I pay for a streaming service. The idea was that we have no ads. And then Netflix every month, they're bumping it up. Soon there'll be an option to where you can watch Netflix or you can pay a smaller fee where you get the ads. Are you muted? Have you done a Harrington?
I don't know what I'm hitting, but I keep accidentally muting myself.
It's okay. I saw you stressing out during the Youssef interview.
I was going to throw a pen, but I didn't want anybody to think I was really upset about something, so I didn't do that. And the whole reason everyone started going towards the streaming services was that cable was getting annoying. You couldn't watch anything. Like, God forbid you watch a movie on some actual channel on TV. It's unbearable to watch anymore. And that's why everyone was like, oh, Netflix, all these things are going to be amazing. And now it doesn't matter. Still watching them.
Well, TV is just terrible in general these days. We signed up to, because DirecTV is a lot of bollocks. So we signed up to YouTube TV. It's unwatchable. It's ads every 30 seconds. And then there's nothing good on there either. Do you know what's good? Do you know what we have? And there's more to watch on there than anything. And it's completely free. And yeah, okay, there's ads. You buy a Samsung TV, you get Samsung TV. It's got thousands of channels. There's a UFC channel. And it's all listed. You got all your different categories. You got reality, you got your documentaries, you got your movies, you got your sports, you got your cooking. There's always something to watch. Samsung TV, ditch the YouTube, ditch DirecTV, ditch them all. Buy yourself a Samsung TV. And you'll get a 75-incher for $499 these days, which is insane. And you get all those channels for free.
I don't know why we're not sponsored at this point. With the way that you just spoke about that, we need to hit these people up. Look at you just sold that to everybody.
We did. Moving on. Because this episode was brought to you by Samsung TV.
I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, Bisping's talking all this shit," and then that would pop up right after you got done saying that, right with an ad, right in your face.
Yeah. No, sadly, we do not. We don't have blue chip sponsors. No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not that now Felder's on board. He's bringing in the guests. He's bringing the energy. We're building, baby. We're building. We're coming for that top spot. Right. Should we let Harrington cue this up? Jon Jones. Oh, no, we don't. Jon Jones went live. Brian, can you pull up the video of Jon Jones going live at the weekend? He was a little drunk, a little tipsy, it seems. And that's the problem with having social media and alcohol. I've done it. I've done
don't
tweets.
Mix.
Let's have a listen in.
You get pissed off, disappointed. Another dad, you just want to kill.
So as a dad, you get pissed off, you get disappointed, and you just want to kill someone. You could take that a million different ways. I've wanted to kill my kids sometimes because you do get pissed off. You do get disappointed. It's like, get your shit together. All this training, you can't even win the tournament. That was my dad when I was a kid. What do you think was going on there, Paul? All jokes aside.
Oh, my God. I don't know, but it sounds like a lot of liquor was involved in whatever was going on there. And it's just rough to see, man. It's like I texted you guys as soon as I saw the video, go, there he is. Oh, there he is.
It's far from the most embarrassing thing that Jon Jones has done.
Oh, yeah.
On a cell phone camera, though.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, Brian. What's the most embarrassing? I'm not sure what you're. I honestly.
Well, one of the things. one of the things is being in the crowd of a comedy club, and
Oh yeah.
right? Didn't he tell like the comic that he was
yelling
gonna like
back.
suck his dick or something? Like it was like really
bro.
weird.
It was nuts.
Look,
Like
listen.
when John's on, he's on. When he's off, he doesn't do anything easy. He's all in. If he's getting up, he's getting real up.
And God bless him. Good for him. I am the last person to sit here and judge someone for getting drunk or saying something dumb or something stupid or saying something that's been taken out of context. I'm the last person to do it. The problem is that when you're the greatest fighter, maybe of all time, in the sport that we've ever seen, and we're all waiting for this big matchup with Tom Aspinall, and then you go on live and you're drunk. There's just a microscope on you. We're all, listen, I had a couple Saturday night. I was happy to be home. Had a couple of vodkas, got a nice little buzz on, didn't go to Instagram, didn't threaten to kill someone.
Exactly. You didn't live stream. It's like we all have our own vices and our own shit in our lives. The problem is what is wrong with your brain when you are Jon Jones and you're of that elite level? You go, you know what's a good idea right now? I need the world to know how wasted I am right now and go on and live stream about it. That's what drives me nuts about him. He's so public with all of his shit.
According to this Twitter thread, apparently Jon Jones is a really bad person, quote marks. That's what's wrong with him.
Well, it's like Joe Rogan said recently, Jon Jones is a bad guy trying to be a good guy. And he was talking about how back in the day, he would have been the type of person walking around with a big, massive battle axe and stuff like that. And he's got a point. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not that long ago, right? Yeah, a few hundred years. We're all civilized now, but go back a few generations, he would have been the guy. He would have been a warrior. He would have been on the battlefield chopping people's heads off and stuff like that. So would you, and so would I. But now we've got to conform to today's societies. We've got to be nice. We've got to be polite. We can't go on Instagram Live and threaten to kill people. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what the we're warriors. We're
so boring.
It's coming out of us. Listen, the guy.
You're making me want to go have a vodka, Michael.
Let's go.
It's time.
What do you think? I mean, a lot of people, obviously, they see this, and I saw responses on Twitter. And by the way, McGregor's classic at this as well. Some of the tweet and deletes are fantastic.
He just
a lot of people.
Yeah, that was real deletable.
Yeah. When?
Oh, the one going at Habib again and the family and dropping some very
No, I know
words.
So a lot of people now are starting to panic about Jon Jones fighting Tom Aspinall.
I don't blame him.
And then Jon shares on social media because Pereira said he wants to fight Jones, and Jones shared it. Now, tinfoil hat time. Do you think he's trying to generate hype for Pereira, not Aspinall?
Yeah, I for the longest time, and even as of just recently, I thought, oh man, Jon's really playing this so well. He's downplaying Tom so much that it's just going to create more buzz. Now I'm starting to really think that I don't think he wants that. I do think there's a part of him that is really worried about the chance that he could be. I'm not saying it's going to happen. People are going to come at me for this. But if there's a guy that's going to be able to knock you out, it's Tom over Pereira. And I only say that because Jon can, I think he can take Alex Pereira down. I think he can do that. And he's a big guy. But Tom, I think that's a lot harder to do. And he's a fast, big-ass heavyweight. And I think he's thinking, if I'm at the end of my career, I want a super fight that I know I can win. And I think that's what he's trying to do. I don't think he wants to fight Tom. And I don't think money's even going to be an issue. I'm starting to think that based on this behavior and shit like that, I don't know, man.
Well, I always say
if I was Tom, I'd be getting like.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're getting Tom on next week. I've asked him and he said, yeah, well, when do you want to do it? I said next week. And, he's champion of the world. He hasn't responded to me yet. But come on, Big Tom. Stop big timing me. Respond to your mate. No, he will do. The thing is, though, Jones is that guy, right? Yeah, what is he now? 37, 36, something like that.
Yeah, late 30s.
He's getting up there, shall we say, but he's a heavyweight, so it doesn't really matter. He's always been that guy. Apparently, when he was training for Gustafsson, he partied his ass off, right? He's always been on these benders. He even said when he fought DC, yeah, I already beat you when I was doing coke. And then I think Jones kind of came out recently and said, listen, you ask any serious user, right? They can't go and do training camps and fight. Jones just likes to party, right? And that's all it is. So, and we've all been there. I'm the last person to criticize somebody for getting a little bit loose and doing something stupid. So I don't think there's any concern, because he's done this many times, and that's part of his appeal, part of what makes him interesting, part of what makes this whole story and this narrative. And yeah, there's been controversies over the years. I'm not saying I agree with anything, but Jesus Christ, there's something to talk about, there's something to look at, there's something to see. You're curious. Can he come back? Can he still do it? Is he the best? Will he beat Stipe? Can he move up a division? Whilst given all this other crazy shit that he's done. And he's done it every single time. And if you ask me, it makes it even more impressive.
Well, that's the crazy part, is the fact that he's done everything he's done with, we see it right in front of us. The DUIs, posting live while he's absolutely hammered, cocaine, all of the stuff, admitting that he was partying through all these training camps. And yet nobody can beat him. Nobody can beat him. And then you start to wonder too, right, Michael? Like, if he did say, I'm sober, I'm not doing any of this stuff, and actually was the person that he's trying to be, would he be as good? Or does the edge and the craziness about him make him who he is?
I say no. Yeah. 100%. Like, one of the most disciplined, dedicated, and I kind of hate him a little bit for this, George St. Pierre. You know, you see him, and I love the guy. I love George. And he's got a great sense of humor. Every time I see him, we just start laughing. But every time you see him on social media, he's in an ice bath. He's doing stretches. He's doing somersaults. He's doing amazing training, gymnastics. You know, the guy's fit as hell. You know, he looks great for his age. Son of a bitch. I'm here in pain. George could come back and still become a champion right now. I think if Jones was to live that lifestyle, he wouldn't be the same. He would lose that edge. He does need that little bit of crazy. Look at Mike Tyson, for crying out loud. Apparently Mike Tyson, all right, when he lost to Buster Douglas, apparently he was in a room with hookers and cocaine all week, having a whale of a time, underestimated him and got knocked out. But look at the career that he had. Look at the performances that he had. And he was as wild as you can get. Yeah,
I agree. I think that something about that is what makes him tick. And is it healthy? No. Is it? No. And it's not sustainable, but he's near the end and he's almost made it. If he just one more, make it time, bro. Make it time. I don't care if you've got to do cocaine every single night. Don't get caught and show up to the fight so we can see it happen. And if you win, you can walk away and you can party your ass off for the rest of your life. But
I think he can do cocaine anyway, because it's in and out your system in 48 hours. By the way, I am not for 1 second that Jones does cocaine and competes, okay? Because you will be tested and you will test positive, and it will be a problem, because there's in competition and out of competition. And out of competition, as long as it's not performance enhancing, you can, abuse your body in any way, shape, or form. I believe.
You can drink, you can do recreational stuff. You just can't be taking steroids, basically, and anything that's on the banned list, and smoking weed and doing all that other shit is not on that. As long as you show up on fight day and the day before and right afterwards, as long as you're clean, you can be a maniac.
Isn't it crazy that Nick Diaz got suspended for life for smoking weed back in the day? Was it for life? And I know they changed it to like 5 years.
Four something years. Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
I think initially it was life, and then they changed it to 5 years.
Which is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Like, but the crazy thing about those guys too is the amount of THC that he had in his system to get popped the way he did. He had to have been smoking like that day. Like, he was smoking probably before he went to the arena. That's what was crazy about it. So it's like, it wasn't like he was smoking 2 days before it. He was smoking right then and there, probably. He probably went out back. Oh, I got to go take a piss. Smoked a blunt and came back in.
Obviously, we're I don't think, I mean, I'm certainly not a big pot smoker. Have I? Yes. Do I? No. I can't remember the last time I did. But, you know, I'm not a square. You know, if I've had a few drinks and I'll say, go on, then give me a go. And then I'll start talking shit. I'll get super paranoid and then I'll fall asleep. So it's not really for me. But a lot of people that I speak to in the jiu-jitsu world, like, oh, man.
Oh, my God.
I love to get stoned and then go to the gym. My mind gets so creative. And I think, what is wrong with you?
You know, I don't get stoned and roll jujitsu, but I can understand it for the jujitsu part, but fighting, I could never understand. Like how, when people are trying to throw head kicks and punch me in the face, I want my focus to be pretty dialed in and not be stoned. I'd rather be sitting on the couch eating potato chips and watching a movie than in the gym getting punched in the face. That's for goddamn sure. But
yeah.
You know, I mean, I do think if you're going to have a vice, it's the better one to have than, you know, as opposed to drinking a bottle of whiskey a day. That's for sure. But I don't know if I'd want to compete on it. No.
And I wasn't getting into the whole thing. It just occurred to me. Some people get stoned.
Oh, and dude, I used to train at Philly Jiu-Jitsu in the city, and it was like a real small, just kind of motley crew of guys. It wasn't a real big established gym, and it absolutely reeked of weed. The guy that ran the place would smoke. He had an apartment in the back, and he would smoke before he came out and taught class. And all the guys that I was boys with would be in their cars right outside of the gym, just blazing up before they came in. And then obviously all their clothes would just be stinking of weed coming in on the mat. So that was my early introduction to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I thought they went hand in hand from an early age.
Well, the Jones, okay. Live a clean lifestyle, guys. Wow. Henry Cejudo makes his return to mixed martial arts this weekend. And by the way, I don't give a shit. Smoke, don't smoke. Do whatever you want. Drink, don't drink. Live your life. Be a good person. Smile. Be grateful. Be happy. Gratitude, guys. Cejudo comes back. Or should we talk about some fight announcements? There's been a few. Jalen Turner, Ignacio Barmondes.
Yeah, I love that fight.
Arnold Allen. We spoke about Anthony Smith's. Or should we talk about a whale eating someone on a kayak spitting it out?
I kind of want to talk about that and talk about how horrifying that would. Can you imagine? You're out having a good time. Oh, maybe
Brian, play the video,
there's
buddy.
A whale. Check it out. Oh, it's eating me.
Look at this. This is insane. Oh, gone. Gone.
Little snack.
Gone.
Little snack.
Hey. And then spits him out.
Ya, vente.
That's his dad.
Tranquilo, agarra el bote, agárralo, tranquilo, agárralo, no te subas, agárralo, tranquilo, agárralo.
Holy shit.
So I saw an interview with the two of them, with the father and the son, and they were talking about it, obviously in Spanish. And like he said, you know, the dad was obviously freaking out, but the guy who was in the kayak, he's there 1 minute, next minute, everything just went black. He had no idea. And then you could just feel a slimy texture all around him. Oh. You're in a whale's mouth. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, man, I would have probably shit myself 3 different times in that 10 seconds that I was inside of that whale. What's the story? Is it Jonah and the whale? You just got to get a little fire going in there. You'd be all right. Isn't that a Bible story?
I don't know. Are you thinking about...
It is, it is a Bible story.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, Paul's a very, you know.
I went to Catholic school.
So did I, but I don't remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
What am I thinking about? There's another whale. Moby Dick?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a badass whale who's getting
what's the one where he's inside it?
Pinocchio?
It's the same story.
Is Pinocchio inside a whale at one point?
Pinocchio gets swallowed by a whale for sure.
Let's go.
Or did he lie about it? That was the whole thing with Pinocchio. Lied? No. I'm not saying those guys. That guy definitely got swallowed by a whale. That's
an AI video the whole time.
It could have been. Can we just talk about how good Brian's looking? You're looking very refreshed, clean shaven, looking rather Sith Lordy.
I got a little aerodynamic this morning is all.
You know, I know all about aerodynamics. Me and Michael were talking about running shoes earlier. I got real excited.
I'm running again. I saw a little
video. I saw you out there.
Don't judge me. You saw a little tippy tap, nothing major.
Little jog.
I was in Australia. It's a beautiful place, obviously. It is. And I thought I'll go for a little run because I pulled my groin. It's feeling better. And I didn't realize it. The stem cells that I had them in my groin. I didn't have them in my dick, but I had them in my groin. You know, I had them in my neck, still waiting on that. But the groin, and then I had a run yesterday. I'm like,
Felt way better.
I'm back. Let's go. New shoes, Paul. What do I get?
I'm telling you, I think you like Nike, right? You've ran in Nikes before, and we were talking about the Alpha Flies because we were talking about the marathon runner who just broke the world record for the half marathon in 56 minutes, which is stupid. But the Zoom Fly 6, I'm telling you, I think it's an amazing shoe. It's got the plate, so you'll get a little extra boost. Super comfortable, and they're durable as shit. They're kind of meant more for training. They're not necessarily racing shoes, but they give you that same feel that you would get from a racing shoe, but you can run miles and miles and miles in them and they'll last. And they look cool.
Yeah. I don't think we're running at the same speed, Paul. But back in the day, I had a pretty good pace.
That's what I'm saying. I got other shoes I can throw you. The Super Blast from Asics is another shoe.
I need, because I've got fake knees, I need the biggest bounce. You know what I mean? Because
both those shoes.
The problem with running with fake knees, obviously, is
you don't have the cushion.
Just knees in general. But I need a lot of cushion, like I'm on marshmallows or floating through the clouds.
Oh well, you know? I got another shoe for you. Then the Brooks Glycerin Plus or something like that, dude. The squishiest shoe I've ever put on my foot in my life.
This episode was brought to you by Nike. Ilia Topuria, the featherweight champion. There's a lot of talk of who he's going to fight next. He's saying that Islam Makhachev is scared of him and stuff like that. Alexander Volkanovski came out recently. I saw a video yesterday where he's saying that he's going to announce a fight very, very soon. I was with him in Australia. He said that he's hoping the name is Topuria. I spoke to him last summer in Manchester. He said he's not fighting unless it's for a title. Okay?
Yeah.
But Topuria wants to move up. So I'm thinking Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez for an interim strap if Ilia does fight Islam. And by the way, again, he says that Islam is scared to fight him.
It's crazy. I think things are really going to get mixed up soon, right? Because a lot of these champions don't want to fight this guy or that guy. You got an Ilia who doesn't want to fight at 145. He wants to fight at 155. But if Islam doesn't fight him, who the hell is Ilia going to fight? Does he still want to fight at 155 pounds if Islam refuses to fight him? And then for Volk, yeah, I agree. I think he should be only fighting for a belt. And if Ilia is not going to fight for that 145-pound belt, then yeah, it's got to be somebody. And I think it only makes sense that it's Diego Lopez. And I think Volk has no problem with that. I think he wants it to be Topuria, which obviously gets some revenge there. But I think as long as it's for a belt or an interim belt or whatever it's going to be, I think he would be happy for that. So
what was Harrington's put something in the notes?
Yeah. So when he was asked about, hey, if Islam was to move up to 170, would you still want to go to 155? Ilia said, I don't care who it is. Islam is nothing special. Like there's no big shake beating him. I just want that title at 155. I'm going to fight at 155 regardless.
So he's going to 155 regardless. So
yeah, so it could be
abandoning the belt.
Yeah, it could be 2 new belts on the line because champions are trying to move up weight classes and refusing to fight certain people. This is like nightmare fuel, I think, for the company, right? When you've got these guys, everyone wants to fight for the best thing they can possibly get and a different title and becoming double champs. And this is where stuff gets really muddy. And I don't mind these double champ fights. I really don't. But what I do get sick of, like you really should have to defend your belt for a while and then fight for these double champ statuses, unless it makes complete sense and there's nobody else and it's all agreed upon. But when one person wants it, the other one doesn't, and I want to move up here, he wants to move up, then it's like, well, then we got no champion.
I'm not talking shit, but then you got Bilal saying that he won't fight Islam and Islam won't fight him because they train together a little bit and they're brothers and stuff like that. I mean, I like it. I like to see exciting matchups. I like to see people trying to challenge themselves. People always want to go up a weight division because you got nothing to risk. Okay, I was willing to go and fight DC on 5 days' notice when his fight against Jones fell through. I would have got my ass whooped, but I was like, yeah,
why not?
Go. I don't care. You know, I'm going to get paid regardless. But if you had to pick, if you had a choice, Topuria versus Volk or Topuria versus Islam, as a fan, which one would you rather see? Because we've seen him versus Volk, to be fair.
I'm going to go with Islam and Topuria. If I had to say what excites me more, not necessarily what's right and what should happen, but I already saw that fight. It didn't go well for Volk the first time. As much as I love him, I'd rather see him face somebody new, and I'd rather see Topuria challenge Islam. But if Islam doesn't accept it, it sucks. But yeah, as a true fan, shit, I mean, that's way more exciting to me. That's a big pay-per-view to me, that those two guys fighting each other. But is that just because I'm a diehard fan that's in the company and knows that? Like, what is the fan that doesn't know as much about those guys? Because Islam isn't necessarily a huge pay-per-view buy. And Topuria, I think, is on his way to becoming one, but I don't even think he is yet.
Do you not think Islam's a big star in terms of pay-per-views?
I don't know.
And by the way, if you want to know the opinion of people that don't know much about the sport, we got two of them in the background. Sorry, lads.
I mean,
what do you guys think?
Advanced casuals at the very least.
I know. I'm joking. But Brian, what would you rather see though, as an advanced casual? What would you rather see?
Jared Cannonier.
Oh yeah, that's
perfect.
Better timing.
One and only Jared Cannonier, the killer gorilla, back in style on Saturday night, man. What a fight. What a performance. What a way to turn back the clock. I could go on all day. My man, you're still looking good. Congrats.
Thank you very much, Michael Bisping. It's always good to be on the show. Always good to hear from you. It's always good to be on the winning side of these conversations as well. So thank you very much. Thank you for having me on, inviting me on. And it's good to see you again.
Is Mike?
I thought you were going to jump in there, Paul. My bad.
I thought you froze.
No, I didn't. I never freeze. Jared, and you never froze either. I mean, you almost got frozen a couple of times in round one, right? He's a big, hard-hitting son of a bitch. He clipped you a couple of times. It looked like one of the times you were kind of moving backwards and it kind of caught you off balance. But how hurt were you in the first round? I mean, we'll get to the sensational finish in a minute, but in the first round, how did that feel?
I wouldn't say that they were disorienting shots or really concussive shots. I really didn't feel that flash knockout concussive effect that you would get from the brain bouncing off the inside of the skull or anything like that. They were big shots. Definitely one of them, I think, hit me on the side of the head. I do feel some soreness right behind the ear. Yeah, right there, some swelling right there. And that, I'm sure that was one of the ones that put me on my behind. But they weren't disorienting to the point to where, the moment I got hit, I was aware that I was falling down at the moment. And as soon as I hit the ground, I was able to respond and react accordingly.
And Jarrett, you started just pushing the pace and just laying it on him. And I know that you talked about the fact that you were going to have to kind of break this guy and that you could finish him. And going into the second round, what adjustments did you know you had to make after getting put down a couple times in the first round to get back in? Because then from then on, then it became the Cannonier show and you just started landing your shots and you saw him slowing down. And what was said in between rounds between you and your corner? Because it was some great work going on with you guys. Obviously, you're so tight with the lab and everybody over there. So what was kind of going through your mind at the very beginning of that second round to kind of turn things around?
I think the message that I got was don't panic. You know what I mean? We're still in this fight. Get back to the game plan. I have to establish a game plan. The game plan was to not stand in front of him, and really work. And me personally, I wanted to work to get my offense off. So at the start of the second round, it was more like more so of a re-implementation of all the things I really wanted to do in the first round. So first thing first was the obvious thing: don't get hit by this guy anymore, right? The second thing was I had to start getting my offense off. I think I gave too much space, too much opportunity, even though I was in front of him, moving around, trying not to be an easy target. I wasn't establishing my offense enough, I feel, and that gave him opportunity to establish his. And we see how effective his offense is. But yeah, that's what the second round was: establish my offense, really get things going. There were a few things, especially in camp, that I've been working on throughout my whole career. But I really wanted to start looking for shots early on, not just throwing shots, overextending myself, throwing shots, working the jab, working behind my jab as well.
Well, he's a big guy for the weight class. And when you saw the two of you next to each other, I mean, he looked like a 205er in there. But this game isn't just about power. You had the experience, you had the movement, you had the speed, you had the variety. I mean, it was a great fight. Yeah, okay, a tricky opening round, but rounds 2, 3, and 4, I mean, you looked truly world class. You've been in there with some of the best. Round 3, you drop that elbow, he goes down, you're trying to finish him. Did you think it was over at the end of the third?
I thought it was over with. I didn't hear the bell, so I thought I had started landing some shots. I landed another shot, and then Herb jumped in, and I had taken a deep breath of that breath of relief, relaxation. What I mean? Oh. And I got up, and then that's when I looked around, and everybody still seemed like we're still on the job. So I was like, okay, and I looked at my corner. They rushed in. I was like, okay, damn, I'm sitting back down. That wasn't the end. So it was crazy, man. And then I knew I had them. I knew I was landing some shots right at the end of the round. Shots that it's going to need more than a minute to recover from. And I knew I had to, of course, the corner reinforced it, but we could put them on them early. We could finish them now, put them on them early, and that's exactly what I did.
And Jared, just how good does it feel? The last couple fights didn't go your way. You had the one with Imavov that was kind of disappointing. You felt like you had more. I think we all kind of felt like you had more on that one. And then you get another main event. You get another opportunity at this stage, still being ranked as high as you are, fighting a guy, you got to go down. But to hold your spot in the rankings, to get not only a win, but a big stoppage like that at 40, bro. Dude, I'm 40. I love watching that you're going out there and looking as good as you do. How good did it feel to get the hand raised with a big finish over a big, tough bastard like that?
Man, they always feel good. They all feel like, the weight lifted off of your chest from all the work that you put in, from all the expectation that you have of yourself. I'm not even going to mention the expectation of everybody else and everything else. But for me, the expectation that I have on myself was I think a big factor in the victory of this one. You know what I mean? I always expect myself to go out there and do well and be victorious, and that wasn't the case in those last two fights. So, yeah, man, still at the same time, I don't want to rest on any achievements I think I may have done. And I want to continue to work, continue to get better, continue to build on what I've done so far, and keep this ball of momentum going, make it bigger and bigger, and until it just explodes. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I couldn't be happier for you, Jared. You are one of the sport's good guys. You're never surrounded by controversy. You're never talking shit. You always fight your ass off. You fought nothing but the best people out there. I mean, when you look at your record, it really is a who's who of the division. But that leads me on to who would you ideally want next? I saw what you said at the post-fight presses. You said when you see the top 5, these are guys that have all fought. That was a very, very honest thing of you to say. I was looking at your record, and I would suggest Robert Whittaker, a rematch with him. Is that something that makes sense to you, or do you have someone else in mind?
Yeah, that's one thing I was thinking. Out of all the guys who I've above me, Robert Whittaker will be a more entertaining. One, has more entertainment factor. Two, more of a there's history because he beat me in that first fight handily.
Yep.
He lost his last fight. I won my last fight. So there's that momentum contrast there. We're still close in the rankings. There's so many different factors, but yes, I think Robert Whitaker would be a good rematch to be had to help progress my career, hopefully towards the title, because that's definitely what I'm going for. I'm definitely aiming for the top. So theoretically, that would be the one. Yes. Or maybe a Strickland one too. I think Strickland's in the same. I'll put Strickland in the same boat as Whitaker. So either of those two rematches would definitely be something I would be happy about.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at the Strickland fight either. That'd be a fun one. Yeah, because it's pretty much a rematch row. I mean, if you're going to be fighting above yourself, right? That's kind of where you're at. And does that excite you, or is that something that's tough? But is redemption something that kind of drives you, Jared? Are you a guy that thinks about you put so much pressure, like you talked about, on yourself and going and performing and succeeding to get one back? Have you done that yet in your career? Have you had to face somebody in a rematch yet?
No, never done it before.
Oh, well, I mean, that would be cool then. We haven't seen you in a rematch.
I know, right? I've seen so many rematches take place in the UFC, on the UFC timeline, you know. So that would be awesome to go in there and do some rematches, especially at this level, because they will all be high-level rematches, you know? So high-level main event type esque things, or even co-main events on pay-per-views and arenas. So that'll be awesome.
Yeah. Would that something would you rather that, Jared? I know you love getting these main events, and it's obviously good shine for you as a fighter, but I mean, would it be cooler to get maybe only a 3-rounder, but be on a big, massive card, get that crowd back and have that feeling again?
I'm not biased in either way. You know what I mean? I do like the main events because there's extra money. There's my name at the top of the billing. But those pay-per-view cards definitely get a lot more attention. They get a lot more hype, a lot more build-up, a lot more everything. So, like 300, say 300, right? All those guys got $300,000 bonuses. Isn't that how it went down?
Yeah.
I would love to be a part of something like that. Man, I'll be on the prelims or something like that.
Hell yeah.
Hey, but you've had a great career, Jared. You know, correct me. Give me your weight, because if I'm not mistaken, you used to be quite a heavy boy, right?
Yeah, I think I fought in the UFC. I fought as heavy as 254.
But like outside of being a fighter, what was the fattest, shall we say, that you got? Let's be honest.
The most undisciplined I've ever been, I've gotten up to was 2 or 3 plus, like 305, 304, something like that.
God damn.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
tight skin, tight clothes. So I didn't bust out in a bunch of stretch marks and man boobs right before it was. I broke the habit right before my body morphed into a morbidly obese person. So
Jesus. See, but that's inspiration for a lot of people, because obviously this country in America and in the UK, people are suffering with obesity because of all the shit that is available to eat. But look at you. You might have one of the best physiques. Now, granted, you've got the skin tone, you know, and you've got the slick and the sweat, but everyone talks about it. Look at Jared Cannonier, man. 40 years old, looking like a goddamn... What are you looking like, a bodybuilder, looking like the Atlas, man. Give me your thoughts on the middleweight division. Obviously, Drickus is the champ, reigning supreme. Sean Strickland didn't get the job done, fired his coach. You want a rematch, but give me the whole scenario on the middleweight division.
Well, things have gotten interesting, considering I used to be at the very top, and I've lost to a few guys at the top now, and I like the way it's continued to morph. You know what I mean? It hasn't stagnated recently. When there's been issues in the past, you know what I mean, which is why out of saying it may have gotten criticism in the past, but things have been moving along quite nicely. I like the way things look. It's still viable for myself. So, selfishly speaking, you know, even though circumstances considered, it's still viable. You know, I won my last fight. I'm still in this thing, and nothing's off the table for me. So I'm ready to go full bore at this thing. You know what I mean? I'm making the adjustments I need to make to stay healthy, to be as healthy as possible, especially at this stage of my career, which is of the utmost importance. Making it to the fights is very important. So just continue the grind, man.
And Jared, just I know you had a pretty cool situation with Delgado being on the card with you and a teammate and a young guy that really looks up to you and kind of takes inspiration from you and Benson Henderson and some of the older guys in the gym that have been around. Were you able to watch it? Were you able to see that before your fight? Did it make you nervous? Does it go, oh shit, now it's my time, or does it get you hyped up when you see a young guy like that make his debut and see him kind of starting to take footsteps after somebody like yourself?
Oh man, where do I begin? It was, yes, I did get to watch it. It was crazy because they was like, let's go take your drug test. I was like, nope, I'm watching this fight.
I gotta
first.
watch it.
You know what I mean? They just called him back, and I was like, nope, I'm watching this fight first. So, yeah, I got to watch the fight, and he got it done early, so I didn't have to wait too long. He looked great. You know what I mean? He looked impeccable in there. So,
I think your daughter.
I'll bet he killed the camera.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I got a call from somebody. But yeah, it was great. You know what I mean? The whole history behind our event that we had together was awesome. That we had essentially spoke this thing into existence and predicted even more after this. So I'm excited for the future for both of us.
That's
good,
awesome,
good, and rightly so. I love Jared when you said, 40 years old, you're still pushing for the title. I think that's inspirational, and it did it inside me because I'm 46 now, so I'm not coming back and becoming a champion. I've been retired a long time, but when you hear you say it's like, yes, you know what I mean? It's like, you still got it. You're still in there. You just got the job done against a really tough guy. You've been in there with nothing but the best. So I'm so happy to hear that. But outside of fighting, outside of all of this, what makes you smile, Jared? What are you going to do to relax and enjoy yourself for the next week or two? What's going on in the Cannonier household?
Well, there's been a lot going on that I haven't been a part of because I've been in camp and getting ready for this fight. So my daughter has been doing volleyball. So this will be the first game I get to go see her compete in, a tournament style volleyball game. So that'll be cool to go with her and do that. She seems excited that I'm coming too, so that makes me happy. Just get to spending more time around the house with all the children, with the whole family. My boy's auntie and his pants, he's been begging us for a bearded dragon, so we got to go through a whole thing about that. And the house there's always things about the house that we have to fix and change, and you know what I mean. So the chickens keep shitting all over the place, so we're gonna put them in a little pen and fix things in.
You have chickens? How many chickens?
We got 15 chickens right now.
Damn.
Yeah, we might get some more, man, because eggs. Shoot, I might end up in the streets with a pocket full of eggs.
Yeah, man, I got eggs right here. Anybody need eggs?
Hey. Yeah. Some thieves broke into a warehouse and stole eggs. That's how valuable these things are. My wife wants chickens, but we can't have them because the HOA won't allow them. The motherfuckers.
Well, you're in Cali too, so
yeah.
We probably in a nice neighborhood too. I mean, they be like, you can go buy eggs, or you can have somebody bring you eggs.
Yeah. Backyard. Yeah. I can't have them.
But that is kind of crazy though. I don't know where you live in. You're in LA, right?
Yeah, Orange County. Yeah, just the HOA won't allow it. They piss me off. Yeah, man. So, well, you just living a nice natural life, living off the land, getting those fresh eggs, those cheap eggs, those free eggs, spending time with the kids. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about, Jared.
Yeah, that's all there is. I mean, real simple. You know what I mean? I got the 3 F's: fighting. Here we go: fighting, family, and anything I can do for fun, like playing video games, taking the family out and doing things out of fun, and fighting. Training is always fun for me. So the 3 F's.
That's why you're doing as well as you're doing at 40, bro. Because you know what I mean. You're staying disciplined. You stay focused on the fights and keeping family close. So. It's amazing to see, man. I was, dude, I threw my pen after you knocked him out, and people online are coming at me. People are along you know me, right? We've talked. I've called so many of your fights. You know I'm a fan. People are like, oh, I guess Felder had money on Rodriguez. I was joking with Michael before you had you on. It's like Jared's going to know that pen throw was a yeah. Like,
I
way to
know
get it done, bro.
yes. That's exactly what that pit though. When I saw it, I was like, yes.
Yeah, see? So it's like,
Yeah.
get out of here, you hate.
But did you see the controversy, Jared?
What?
The narrative, people online on Twitter of all places, can you believe it, are saying that Felder must have had a bet on Rodriguez or something.
No, I'm not on Twitter. I only do Instagram because I have to stay connected career-wise and family. You know, everybody wants to see what's going on. So I give them Instagram, but I don't do Twitter. I don't really care what's going on out there in the world. To an extent, you know what I mean. So yes, I'm aware of some things, but there's a lot of shit that I don't see happening. So if some start going down, yeah, I'm like, Jared may need to know about this. Make sure you send me something.
We'll text you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? The majority of shit that is going on, we don't need to know because we can't do anything about it. We just got to focus on ourselves. What's the video game of choice right now?
Well, I've been playing Skyrim. I was playing Skyrim during Fight Week. I've been playing Skyrim for like a month now. So I came back into Skyrim. And before that, it was Undisputed. It's like a new boxing game came out. Dragon Ball Z came out with a new game. Helldivers has been really fun for the last year.
Yeah.
And the Batman Arkham series. I've been playing those games.
All right. Some old
and God of War too. Yeah.
God of War. The reason I'm asking is because I always say I'm going to get into a video game, but I don't really have the time, but I am going to do it. But they're very complicated. I just want to play a game. Like every time I turn the PS5 on, it's like it's got to do an update. That takes an hour. And it's got to do this and it's got to do that. Then there's so many buttons and shit to push. I'm a boomer. I admit it. Strickland.
You get yourself a regular Nintendo, old school Nintendo, where you just push a button, jump there. Or
that's what I do. Yeah, that's what I do. I haven't.
Let's have a look.
Hell yeah!
This is all I have.
Okay, all right.
That little thing right here. That's about the extent.
I want to get one of those too.
That's the extent of what I play.
Games on there too, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's got all the old school games. I can play with my daughter, and I know what's going on. So it's like okay, it's fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, Jared. So it's Strickland or Whitaker in a perfect world for you next. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the family time, enjoy the fun time, enjoy the fighting, and enjoy the ride. You deserve all of the success, Jared. I truly mean that.
Thank you guys very much.
Yeah.
As always, it's awesome talking with you two. You're both legends in my book. I've watched you guys since before I was in the UFC. You know what I mean? So thank you guys for leading the way. A salute to the both of you, and let's keep going. Let's show them that 40. Let's show them that 40 ain't the end of the road. We just getting started here.
No, man.
We're just getting started,
Hell yeah,
baby.
Dude. Hell yeah, bro. Congrats.
Take care,
man.
Jared. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, dude.
There he is.
He's the man. He's the man.
He is.
He knew what's up. He knew I'm throwing pen in excitement and not in betting.
I don't know, Paul. I don't know.
I love that you're instigating.
Yeah. I don't know, Paul. So we were talking about Ilia Topuria and stuff. I'd like to see him fight Islam, whatever. We'll see how that one shakes out. Volkanovski probably fights Diego Lopez for an interim
Seems to make
title.
sense, right?
Yeah, Rodriguez versus Arnold Allen, rumored to be in Mexico City. That's a great fight.
God bless all those dudes that have to fight in Mexico City, man. My God, it's an awesome place, but that altitude is just.
Have you
brutal.
fought there?
No, but I called the last year's fight there, and even just exercising there and doing a little pad work, it's like every time you just can't seem to get, you know what I mean? It's like you can never take that deep breath and reset. It's tough, man.
Yeah, when I went up to Big Bear, oh God. Awful. Jalen Turner, Ignacio Bahamondes.
Great
added
fight.
to UFC 313. You know Ignacio. He's one of Bilal's guys, right?
Yeah. I got to train with him years and years ago. Bilal brought him to Rufus Sport. Man, and that was way back. And I was like, this kid his striking is good. And to see the success that he's had, he's such a nice kid too. And he's just a dog in there, man. I love that. That Jalen Turner fight, two tall, vicious guys at that weight class. It's going to be brutal.
UFC 313, what is that? That's next month. It's not next month, it's round the corner. Magomed Pereira, Gaethje, Dan Hooker, Ignacio Bahamondes versus Jalen Turner, and no doubt a bunch of other great cards as well. By the way, speaking of Dan Hooker, guess what? And there he is, the one and only Dan the Hangman Hooker. Congrats, Felder. You arranged all of this. You said you were going to do it. Dan came through. Dan, how the bloody hell are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm good. I'm close to a fight, so I'm a very happy man.
I just want to say, because I'm going to sit back and let you guys do all the talking here. Do you realize it's almost 5 years to the day? 2020, 23rd of Feb. What is it now? The 19th? It's the 17th. Well, it's almost 5 years.
I didn't even realize that. It's getting close to that night.
It's about time we had another beer together, my friend. It's about time we had a beer. It's about time we had a beer together. It's been a long time.
Yeah, dude. Well, first of all, man, congrats on this fight, because years ago, which is crazy that it's 5 years ago now, that's what we were going for, right? That's kind of what me and you both wanted. And how does it feel, Dan, to sit back and finally think, man, I worked my ass off to get to these guys, and now I'm getting these names that I wanted. A Gaethje, you've been calling for him. You've had Poirier. You're in the mix, dude.
I'm back, baby. It's a long time coming. There's a lot of hard work that's involved in that. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. But yeah, it's you just feel like you're more comfortable now. Like I see, like obviously you watch your opponent's fights, and when he fought, it was funny. Like when he fought Fazeev, when Gaethje fought Fazeev was like saying the same shit that I was saying when I was about to fight Poirier, where he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna walk, and then I'm gonna get a title shot." And you hear Gaethje going, "Oh, I'm about to feed him a whole lot of humble pie," you know. And because I've been in the exact same situation where you're on your streak and you're feeling like the best fighter in the world, and you get humbled and you get shown a whole new level. So to now come back here and be in the same spot and be, full of more experience and full of more, you feel like a true veteran that deserves to be hanging at that level now.
Yeah.
You definitely do, Dan. But as you just said a second ago, you said, I'm back. Because, there was a phase there where, and respectfully, of course, because they were top opponents, where you lost a few. But we're talking Poirier, Michael Chandler, Islam Makhachev, certainly some of the best. And I know you dropped down to 145, then you came back up again. And a lot of the time when fighters do that, it's like they're trying to find something or reinvent themselves. But you've now gone on this 3-fight win streak, beating people like Mateusz Gamrot, who is not an easy fight, Jalen Turner. That fight was phenomenal. I used to train with Jalen. I know personally how good he is, how hard he is to beat. And you did it with a broken arm as well. And now you're fighting Justin Gaethje, and you're closing in on a title fight.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like you have to start from scratch again. Obviously, you take those few losses, you eat that humble pie. And because you're always thinking about the title and how that I can get back to the title. And obviously I fought Perales, which was people then start asking, does he even deserve to be ranked? So you fight an unranked fighter on a long streak, you get past them, and then you go, oh, but he can't be top 10. And then you beat Jalen Turner, who's a very tough opponent, which I feel like a lot of people counted me out. And then, Gamrot comes across the table and it answers a question where people are like, oh, he definitely can't wrestle though. So I'd say, well, then you answered all those questions. You answered, does he deserve to be ranked? Can he beat people in the top 10? And then can he beat the elite wrestlers of the division? You answer those questions, and then you get a shot at one of the big names in the division that lines you up for a title shot. So it's just the next logical question in line that needs to be answered.
And Dan, like when you talk about, all right, I'll take on the Gamrot, I'll take on these unranked guys, you knew like, all right, fuck, I got to do the certain things to bounce back. And is it frustrating for you to see other guys in the division and in other divisions where they just want to cherry pick every little thing and all that doesn't line up? And then you got a guy like you who's just like, yeah, I got to beat these guys if I want to be fighting for the belt.
Nah, it's like the two ways to the top, right? It's the time everything perfectly. It's to it's the only fight when you're feeling at 100% and not injured and right stylistic matchups and only guys that are ahead of you. And we know full well that fighting in that way takes a long time to get to the title, or you can fight any comer on short notice, injured at any given time, and you put on incredible performances and big finishes or incredible fights, and you can skip that line a lot faster than a lot of these other guys.
Yeah. So just
Also-
an approach. No, go ahead.
Also,
Mike.
Dan, you can go out and get yourself covered in tattoos. You can have because you've added to the bodywork recently. The ink has gone to a whole new level.
Yeah. I just kind of fell into it. I had everyone since my last fight, it's like, oh, what are the new tattoos? And I'm like, well, none. I actually have not been injured, my friend. Like it was a crazy time. I broke my hand and then I had 2 back-to-back surgeries on my arm. So that's a lot of time sitting on the shelf. That's a lot of time when you're not facing any adversity and not under any duress or struggle. And it's difficult for a fighter to sit on their hands. It's a difficult time. So I found something that was just as challenging in different aspects, but still like a big. I couldn't physically test my body, but then so I couldn't mentally test my body, but then I could still physically keep it.
Yeah, I
keep it
saw.
sharp, keep the mind sharp.
I saw an interview you did, and you were kind of talking about that. You're like, listen, if I'm going to do something, I kind of seem like I'm the kind of guy I'm going to go all in on it if I'm going to do it. So you went big with it. What was the worst part, Dan? Which part hurt the most since it went from no tattoos to a whole bunch? Which spot was the worst for you?
Oh, all of them, brother. All of them. The feet. I can see why a lot of people don't have they don't have the feet or ankles tattooed.
Yeah, it sucks.
I can't even say that I picked that though. I went there for something else. And the tattoo artist just drew his whole way up my shin and all the whole way down my foot. It was a friend of mine, and then he goes, "You thinking I was going to come in here and give you that girly tattoo?" He's like, "You're Dan." He goes, "You're Dan Uga." He goes, "Everyone thinks you're tough." He's like, "You need a tough tattoo, my friend.
You can't have a couple of angel wings on your back."
You cannot.
We got enough wings in the UFC anyway. Thank God we didn't go wings on the back, Dan. We've seen enough of them. Dan,
hold on. Tony Ferguson, Max Holloway. Who else is there?
A few wings. There's a few. Few wings.
Those are the biggest named wings, probably. But if we went through the roster, we could probably find
Anthony
15
Pettis,
people.
maybe.
No, he's got something on the chest. I think
he's got
like his daughter and his father and things like that.
Sorry, you had a real question.
No, I mean just about the training camp and how things are going. How's the gym and how's the morale? And I know it's had to have been tough to see your buddy Israel just have an off night when he looks so good. How was that for the gym, and how are you guys doing as a whole, just with everybody on the roster?
Yeah, the gym's been pretty crazy, man. Like obviously we had Israel and Khan fight on that card in Saudi and didn't get the results they wanted. But yeah, people they kind of asked like, oh, you might, like we had a couple of days off after that. You know what I mean? Like because it's Sunday, UFC's on Sunday here in New Zealand. We sat here, we watched the fights, and then I went to training an hour later and smashed the training session out, and everyone was business as usual,
back to normal.
And then I've got my fight. Carlos Olberg's fighting Jan Blachowicz. Then I think Kai Kara-France is getting a big fight. Alex Volkanovski is getting a big fight. So it's like we're like, if you have skin in the game, then you understand that it is what it is. The game is the game, and on any given night, any man can get his hand raised. So when one of us, when one fight doesn't go the way that we thought it was going to go, it's like, does it derail the train? It's like, no, like we're like far from done. I feel Like, it's like we don't know what fighting is down here. We don't know that it's a difficult game to to succeed at. We don't know the truths and the realities of combat sport. There's no realer sport on the face of the planet than combat sport. So if you think that we would be derailed by that, and like we thought we were invincible and we were just going to win all the fights and and it would be happy days forever. Like, Bubba, I started my fight career 3 wins, 3 losses. Like, I know the ins and outs of this game. I can take a loss. I can come back from there. I can be honest with myself, and I know how to get this train back on the rail.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Dan, because it's all well and good being a Conor McGregor when he came on the scene and breezes through everybody. But most fighters, they work their way up. They win a few, they lose one, they win a few, they lose a couple, and you work your ass off, and then hopefully you get to where you want to be and hopefully become a champion one day. That's the path of most people. And it's all about having that mental toughness to be able to have the staying power. You know what I mean? You can't expect to win every single fight. If you can, awesome, great. But if you don't just throw your toys out the pram and say, right, that's it, I'm done. Speaking of losing fights, Justin Gaethje, as we know, last time out against Max Holloway. Max Holloway went out there, probably the best performance of his career. He looked absolutely phenomenal, seemed like he had the perfect game plan. And of course, we all know how it ended. Because of that, how do you look at this matchup with Justin Gaethje? I mean, obviously, we all know he's dangerous. He can wrestle and all this type of stuff, but he chooses not to. What version of Justin do you think you're getting?
Oh, you have to account for the best version. That's the only way that you can approach it. I feel like going back and watching that fight, I feel like it was a bit of a banana peel. I feel like he was doing. It was a very competitive fight. I think maybe even Justin was getting the better of it till spinning back kick lands on his nose. Like, you throw that bloody thing 1,000 times, it doesn't land square on the nose and send you left. Like, and you know what it's like when you get your nose shattered in the first round. Like, you can't breathe, you can't see. And then I think round 2, round 3, there was a couple of eye pokes. So now the copper can't breathe, he can't see. He's got Max Holloway standing in front of him. So it's like, I don't take too much from that fight. Like, even like stylistically or technically, I don't take too much of that fight. I think those two fight 10 times. I think Max wins 5, Gaethje wins 5. I think the what most people take away from that fight is that Max outclassed Gaethje, but I don't think it's that. I don't think that's from my opinion. Looking at that fight, I think it was just a bit of a banana peel fight, and that the gods of war did not take it. Yeah, it's not his. It just wasn't his night, and the finish is the finish, and it's like you can't take so many incredible moments in your favor for a decade, and then one goes the other way, and then you don't know what it is, or you can't accept it. You can't accept it for what it is.
Yeah, it's funny. I forget who I was having a conversation with when we were talking about the awards coming out for like the best knockouts and the best fights of the year. And somebody brought that point up. They're like, that was definitely one of the best knockouts, hands down. That moment was crazy. But if you go back and you think about the circumstances and the shit that happened to his nose, and the fight itself wasn't the craziest fight. It was a competitive fight until the craziness in the moment at the end. But really, it was not that bad of a night. You're right that. So is that almost like a wash, that fight, and kind of just prepare for Gaethje as usual? Do you think at all he wrestles with you, Dan?
Oh, I think he wrestles with me just like I wrestle with him. Like it's you have that's why we fight in MMA. So if I'm losing the striking, well, I'm gonna grab the guy. It's like so I met Conor McGregor in Spain. At his BKFC event and whatever, and the whole week I was hanging out with his mates, and they're all going, yeah, it'll be a good fight, and I'm going, yeah, I'll just strike with him, like we'll just stand up, it'll just be a striking match, yeah, cool. And then I hopped in the ring to meet him, and I extended my hand, and he shook my hand, and we shook each other's hand, and the back of my head, I just shook my head, and I went, "Oh, I'm grabbing you." I felt that shit.
Yeah, like, oh no.
You've been there before when you just shake a guy's hand, and you're just like, I'm not even, nah, like, I can squeeze you to death, bro. Like, that's just how.
Really?
That's just
I love
how
that,
I feel
dude.
about that, dog.
Oh, I'm taking you. I'm grabbing you, buddy. We're not even gonna bother with anything else.
That's strangle time. Like, I got this.
What do you think's next for the champ? Obviously, Islam. He's reigning supreme right now. 4 wins, most in history. Ilia Topuria is calling him out. What do you think his next move is going to be? And what are your opinions on him?
Oh, yeah. I think Ilia, or Charles or Armin, it's just the way that the chips fall. We understand that the UFC like to have options. It's just the game that they like to play. They always hate that when there's one guy that everyone knows that guy has to be next, because then negotiating becomes very expensive,
real hard.
But it's like if they have 4 or 5 guys that make sense for the UFC, happy days for them, because it's like you can start negotiating with the 4 or 5 guys that you have in line, and it's however the stars align, that guy's the one that steps up to the plate.
I mean, and with the way guys step away, let's say he decides, oh, I'm not going to even fight at 155 and I'm going to go to 70. And we're hearing so many of these champs now, right? They want to get the double belt and leave the division. I mean, do you feel like you get a win over Gaethje, dude, and you have a good, solid performance out there and shit's all shook up, all weird? I mean, you could be a fight away, you think? Maybe even people are being weird, not wanting to take certain fights. You go and get a big finish over somebody like Justin Gaethje. Where do you think you could be on a good night?
I feel like
you'd be right there?
I feel like a big finish over Gaethje, and it's one of the bouts.
You're
we're
there.
lucky that we got either the undisputed title or the BMF title is in our weight division, and it's if the stars fall that way, and it comes down to who's prepared and who's willing to capitalize on the opportunity. And we've seen a lot of other guys perhaps turn down their opportunity or miss their opportunities. So it's like if it came down to it, and the UFC was like, are we either gonna pick this guy or we're gonna pick a guy like Dan Hooker, who 100% is gonna step up to the plate, 100% is gonna fight to the absolute finish, then I fancy my chances.
Yeah, I think you'd be right there. You know, as we said at the start, it's almost 5 years since you two fought. Split decision, back and forth affair. Paul Felder left with half of his lung missing.
No,
what do you
fight.
remember?
I was jacked.
What do you remember about this fight, Dan?
Yeah, well, it's the way that it had to be here in New Zealand. There was the animosity was just because he was coming to my home. Like, looking back at it, like, I honestly love the guy. Like, Paul Felder, respect him to no ends. Like, there was animosity that I created on my end leading into the fight, but that was entirely just because it was New Zealand. It was my home, and I felt like I had to defend New Zealand. Like, when it came down to it, I'm not letting another man beat me in my hometown, because you'll be 60 years old sitting at the pub and some old codger sitting across from you will bring it up. Oh, I remember when I went down and Paul Felder kicked your ass, you know? And I have to lean.
It's true.
And I have to lean over the pub and smack some 60-year-old, like, so I just had to. So I'm not happy with how it played out. That it was just a 5-round absolute war, push each other to the absolute limits. Incredible moment that I'll definitely never remember, never forget.
Bro, when I had to come on the lands and do the ceremony with you guys, you want to talk about like the craziest experience I had. Remember, I had to be part of the whole ceremony and take the branch and like keep eye contact with this dude the whole time. Meanwhile, I'm surrounded by people. This is their land. This is their people. I'm like, good God, bro. Then we had to do the nose touch, Mike, like with his whole team, bro. His whole team's lined up. And, you know, I'm trying to put my best, like, I'm not going to back down, but it was fully respectful. And talk about wanting to get out there and go after it. You're part of that. I mean, this is like, you feel like you're on the cusp of battle and shit. Dude, and the people were, you guys are amazing down there, dude. I got to go back to New Zealand when we're not. Obviously, I won't have a fight lined up. I just want to be down there commentating or something because I never even got to enjoy it because I went to the emergency room. We got a picture together there.
I'll show you around.
Dude, did they shoot you with pain meds in the back? I've never had that in the fight.
I was in the same emergency room.
God. Yeah, when we rolled in, they're like, hey, we're going to take them in differently. Their opponents out there. We were like, oh, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, we just hashed it out. You know what I mean? I don't need
We're over it. We're over it.
I can't physically fight this guy right now if I wanted to. I couldn't walk. You chewed my calf up so
Yeah,
so
after 25 minutes, I don't think I've ever still been mad at any human on the face of the
No, right? And we always talk, and you know this even better than I do. You've been in there with even more battles since, but the respect that you get, and Michael knows this too. I mean, like nobody at home will ever understand that feeling of when you go through that with somebody else, whether you hated each other before or not. Respect has got to be given to that. It was incredible, dude. You're the man, bro.
Thank you, brother.
And I won't be calling it, so I'll be rooting for you. There's hands down about that, no doubt about it. Let's go kick some ass out there, dude. Have ever since, man. Ever since the fight, it's like, yeah, this guy beat me. I want to see this dude whip some ass.
If I could jump in because you two are touching noses again right now, or touching something else. Stop sticking your noses up each other's asses.
There's Michael. Always, if you get too sensitive on this show, Michael reins it in.
It's just a sense of humor. It's just a joke. We got to keep things lighthearted. Dan, thanks for your time. We'll let you go.
No
Where
trouble,
are you?
mate.
I'm assuming you're on a porch in New Zealand, in Auckland.
I'm on my porch in my backyard, my friend.
That looks lovely. Show us again. The garden looks lovely.
Where's the statue, Dan? That same interview I saw with you, there's some statue, and you were talking about
that's out the front of the house. I'd have to take her around the front.
Oh,
it's not a bad life.
You have to send me a picture of that on Instagram.
It's a hard path, the life of a fighter. But I tell you what, there's nothing I would have rather done or rather do if I was you. Thanks for your time. Best of luck against Justin Gaethje, and we'll let you get back to relaxing and enjoying the garden.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Dan. Kick ass, dude.
Yes, boys. Thank you.
There he is.
Dude. I'm telling you, you know how it is. You go to battle with somebody like that, and that was a fight. Like that whole 2 weeks I spent in New Zealand, I'll never forget it. And you're right. I'm about at the 5-year anniversary of that fight. It feels like I fought him yesterday.
Yeah, because it's wild. Because I mean, I saw it on social media. 2020 UFC.com or whatever it was back in those days, but you had to go over there and do the whole warrior, the tribal ceremonies with them when you're actually going to fight in their country. That must have been crazy.
Like a few days before weigh-ins, going through the whole ceremony, doing the traditional like nose touch to the whole team, and I had to like observe take this branch in. I couldn't break eye contact with like the leader that was welcoming me into their home and their land. And then obviously like the arena itself apparently was part of their land that they owned, even though they let them build and like run an operation there. It was still kind of recognized, at least from what I remember back then, that it was still their land and we were fighting on their freaking land. So it just like the whole week just had this, like, as much as it was helping him because he was defending his land. Well, dude, you know what it's like. Well, I felt the opposite. Like, well, I came out to Born in the USA.
Classic.
When that hit, was I like I had the flag. Oh man, nuts.
The good news is though is that you're respectful, right, to the cultures and stuff like that, because they are, they are warriors, the Maori people. Could you imagine and we'll move on in a second. Somebody like Sean Strickland, if they brought Sean over there, he would have been mocking. I ain't going nose to nose or anything like that. Or it would have been kind of funny to see that.
Yeah, it would have
been
the
reaction.
They would have hated you, and we would have been. They would have been lining up at the hotel to get a shot at you. Luckily for me, it was the opposite. Like I have so many New Zealand fans and just even Australian fans and people that came and watched that fight because of the whole week. And that was all being advertised everywhere because those countries that they're pushing. That's a big event for New Zealand in Auckland. So, like I was everywhere, and it was kind of overwhelming. But afterwards, I mean, all those people were nothing but respect, on their feet. Just great night.
No, it's beautiful. It was a great night, and it was a tremendous fight, Paul. I remember watching at the time. You should be proud of that moment. The people of New Zealand, Australia, that entire part of the world,
great,
solid people.
Yeah.
And congrats on that fight, and thanks to Dan Hooker. Right, let's move on. All right, so as you can see, we've had a stacked show today, and of course, we've got fights this weekend. You're going to be in Seattle. I'm going to be in Seattle. So sadly, we can't make predictions. We'll get them off Brian and Harrington. Okay, for what it's worth, guys. Advanced casuals that they are. But the big story is Henry Cejudo, the king of cringe, returning this weekend. Last time we saw him was about a year ago against Merab Dvalishvili. Didn't get the job done. At the time, people were starting to say maybe is Cejudo aging and slowing, and he was right to retire when he did. Now, of course, with Merab beating everybody, including Umar Nurmagomedov, Sean O'Malley, and everyone else that he's beaten, maybe that played into Cejudo's decision to come back and have another go, because Merab is dominating everybody, and he beat Cejudo. But what do you think? Cejudo's 37, I think, 37, 38, 135 pounds, certainly getting old. Main event, Seattle, for the first time in a long time, or maybe ever. Talk to me about this fight, Paul.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think you're right. I think really what it's all going to come down to is how motivated is he really to make this return? And what is the reason behind it? Is it to come back and become champion, to be an elite guy again? Or are you doing it just because you got stagnant in retirement and it's not as exciting as you thought it was going to be? And again, you're right. Merab beat you and you're like, oh shit, maybe I should be done. And then you see just the run that he's been on lately and you think, well, shit, I mean, the guy's really good. Maybe I still do have plenty left in the tank. And I think it's a winnable fight for him. I really do. I think Song Yadong is younger and faster in a lot of ways, but I just think that if Cejudo can push the pace in the wrestling, he might be able to get it done. But man, if Song starts cracking him and that motivation isn't where it should be and the training isn't where it should have been, we're going to find out, I think, pretty early on in that 5-round fight.
Cejudo, 38 years old, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
And at that, like you said, at that weight class, man, speed and the timing is so important.
But he's always got that wrestling. Song Yadong, good all-rounder, decent mixed martial artist, leans on the striking more than anything. So kind of a clash of styles there. Obviously, we can't make predictions. Brian and Harrington, real quick, who takes it this weekend? Because this is why people are going to put their money on. This is why they're going to go to whichever platform it is, because Harrington makes millionaires.
No, not yet. I'm trying to make a 50,000-aire first. That's the first step on the road to $1 million. But no, man, I don't know. I like the dog in this one. I like Henry Cejudo. I mean, Song Yadong, you look at his career trajectory, anytime he's gotten one of these like top elite level guys, we're talking the Corey Sandhagens of the world, Piotr Jans of the world, he's come up just a little bit short. And in some of those fights, he went in, as a favorite, people expecting him to win. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think Henry Cejudo, he's only losing to the best of the best. And I think he's got at least one more in him.
Okay. And a decent take, to be fair. I understand what you're saying. Not a bad little fight card either. Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez in the co-main event. That's a rematch from when they fought in the LFA back in the day. I was watching it yesterday. Who won that fight, Paul?
I think Fluffy won that fight.
Fluffy. I know. I was watching it thinking Brendan Allen would have won this one back in the day.
Yeah.
Because
he had some losses coming into to the UFC from his career, and then kind of started surging a little bit when he got in off Contender. But yeah, he had some losses. Did he get finished?
Hernandez, no, went to a decision. I believe. Hold on, let me double check. Or did he choke him out?
It was a decision for the interim LFA title.
Yeah. Yeah. But all grappling, and Brendan Allen, all in, is very good at grappling as well. So that's a good rematch there. Jean Silva versus Melsit Bagdasarian. Jean Silva, if you don't know that guy, he's fun to watch, man. Cocky little bastard as well.
He's a crazy dude. John Gooden was telling me that when he went and did the Fighting Nerds thing and had to stay with those dudes, he said that guy is an amazing kid. Like, he brought him for dinner, but he's a menace on the mats. He's one of those guys, sneaks up behind you and he wants to choke you out, like put you to sleep as a joke. It's like, it's not the kind of guys I want to be hanging around with, where they just come up and just try to snatch a guillotine or a rear naked choke. But he said he cooked him dinner. He was like pouring him shots of cachaça and all that kind of shit. He's a wild man.
Yeah. Sneaking up behind him, trying to put John Gooden to sleep. I'm not saying, whatever you're into. And Iwan Kutalaba, Ibo Aslan, that's a good fight. And then Alonzo Menefield versus Julius Walker. I haven't done my research on Walker yet, but Alonzo Menefield, he came back from Carlos Solberg. He got finished really quickly, but Alonzo, he's a lot of fun to watch normally.
Yeah, he's going to throw everything with every single shot that he puts out there. You know that when he's in there. So it should be exciting. I mean, I don't know much about the other guy either, but and Ibo Aslam on the card, that one should be pretty crazy, that fight.
Yeah. Pretty good fight card, top to bottom. So, but I have got a fair bit of research to do, but by the time I see you in Seattle, baby, I'll be good to go. I'll be cooking on gas, firing on all cylinders. What the hell do people do in Seattle, Paul? Have you ever been there?
I think they drink coffee and throw fish around. It's seemingly what they do in Seattle. The fish market's there. Yeah, I mean, it's rainy, it's grungy, it's a fish market.
A lot of heroin.
A lot of booze and drugs, and it's going to be fun.
Sounds like my kind of place.
I think it's going to actually be fun. I think Seattle's a really cool city, and there's a lot of awesome places to go and eat and drink and do stuff like that. And I know you can't partake because of your neck probably, but the whirly ball is going to be happening as well there. But that is probably the worst idea for you.
Yeah. So those people that don't know, I was invited to the whirly ball get together, which is basically, if I understand this, basketball in bumper cars,
in like little carts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, no way. I said, I can't do that with my
because you do get smacked. Like you get jolted.
So you guys are all going to be getting together on your little team building exercise, having fun, and I'll be sitting there in my hotel room crying myself to sleep.
You got to come with us, and you can referee and talk shit and drink beers on the side.
Go team! Yay! I can't do that. I'm not that guy.
No, you're definitely not that guy. You're not that guy. You'd be like, all right, I'm going across the street. I'll see you guys later.
Fuck you. I'm getting a double trouble. Guys, thank you for watching the show. We're going to finish off with a question. Maybe if you've sent them in to bympod@gmail.com, the more interesting, the more peculiar, the more random, the better. As I say, bympod@gmail.com. Do me a favor. Please subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment also in the comment section on YouTube, because it helps out the algorithm and all that stuff, and it helps YouTube share it.
Ring the bell.
And helps me and Paul. But you ring that goddamn bell. It helps us be a success. Okay. With that said, Brian McKay at B McKay's right on Instagram and Twitter and all the social media handles. Do we have anything?
I got a question here. It's very different from our usual ones. This one is from Chad.
Big ups, BYM podcast. Yo, Bisping, I'm a huge fan here of your career and your post-fighting career. I love the show. Keep doing what you do. I'd love to see maybe a DJ set. I used to be a touring drum and bass DJ, Bo Selecta. Chat shit with that anytime. But I wanted to ask you a question about your acting career. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and with the recent passing of David Lynch, I wanted to ask about your involvement with the new Twin Peaks series. Now, it blew my mind when you popped up on the screen. I elbowed the lady next to me. We were at a special premiere with some of the cast and the crew. I said, that's Michael Bisping. Obviously not a fight fan. She didn't know. But that was the coolest thing to see you pop up in something that I have loved and cherished for a long time. And to combine the two worlds was pretty awesome. So do you have any specific memories or stories or interactions with David Lynch himself? Or can you maybe tell me something a little bit about what that experience was like? Had you ever heard of the show Twin Peaks before? And then I also want to ask you something too. are you going to be in Seattle this upcoming week? Because I'm going to be there. I'll be credentialed. Again, going back to the DJ, I'll be hanging out with the UFC resident DJ AL3. So if you are in Seattle next week, brother, I would love to say hello, shake your hand, and thank you for all of the good times that you've given us. So if you're there, stop by or let us know. Call them on the walkie-talkies. And Felder, bro, I love your career too. You're a fantastic analyst, but your beard is so thick and so full, it's demasculating, man. I just don't know if I could take a picture with you.
Oh,
big up BYM podcast. Thank you. Have a great day and much love.
Well, Chad, way to totally redeem yourself. What movie's that?
Dumb and Dumber.
Totally redeem yourself. Just when I thought you
totally
couldn't get
redeem yourself. That's great.
Right at the end of Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. I thought Chad was going on a little bit long there with the question. Thanks for the love, Chad. But I was like, get to the point. But he saved it. He came back with an insult to Felder on the beard. It's demasculating, Paul.
I think he's saying he was feeling emasculated because my beard is so beautiful.
Oh,
right, Brian, jump in.
That is what he was saying. He felt like a less of a man.
But Michael, I thought he was too. I was like, what did he just say to me? And then he went on, and I was like, oh, he's saying, okay, way to go, Chad. Thank you.
I can't grow a beard like that. I've spoke about it many times. To answer the question, thank you very much. Yeah, so David Lynch. Have you ever seen the first Twin Peaks, Paul? Did you ever watch it in the 90s?
I know of it, but never really sat down through the whole thing.
I remember when it came out, it was all the rage. I was a little bit young to appreciate it. So I started watching it and I didn't like it. And obviously back then it was on TV once a week or whenever, Yeah. So my wife and I, we watched it years ago and really enjoyed it. If you're looking for something, it's really good, really good. It's a little different. It's interesting. It's unique, peculiar, but really, really good. So if you want something to watch, the original Twin Peaks is really good. And yeah, I got an audition to be in some random show. They were very secretive about it. They wouldn't tell me what it was for. And I'll tell you right now, the reason I got the part in Twin Peaks, the second season, was because of my cauliflower ears. That was it. Not because of the acting skills that I have. They wanted like unique, interesting looking people. And I remember at the casting, they were like, these ears are fantastic. So anyway, I just played a security guard. Now, David Lynch, legendary director. We don't talk about acting too much on here, but I did put this tweet out when he died because, and again, I don't like to talk about the acting stuff because people think you've disappeared up your own ass. Far from it. But this guy really made a big impression on me because I know he's a legendary director. People, they love and worship this guy because he has a very unique style. I was playing a security guard and I was on the screen for 20 seconds and I had one line like, that's it, that's right, or something like that, right? And so a lot of the time, the directors, they're very busy. They've got a ton of shit to do. So they don't have to make a fuss over you. This guy, and it's David Lynch, he was so awesome. He was so welcoming. He was so eccentric as well, which just made it awesome. That old school speaking through a megaphone. He was speaking to the set through a megaphone, right? And he came over. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. And he was so nice and so welcoming. It really made me feel appreciated because you feel like a dickhead. When you're showing up and you're doing these tiny little parts.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, you're like, I'm not really part of the crew. I'm not really part of the cast. You know what I mean? I'm just like I'll get punched in the face once and then that's it. I go home.
Yeah,
he made me feel welcome. And then when it was done, he gave me a big send off. Oh, you were the perfect part for the role. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Bisping, who played the guard so well. And everyone gave me a round of applause and all the rest of it. And it was like, he didn't need to do any of that. Do you know what I mean? And then after that, I had to fly off to Vegas to do, I think it was Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo, whatever. I was working the desk and I had a flight to catch. And I went up, I said, right, I'm done. Can I leave? Oh, no. Only David Lynch, only Mr. Lynch can rap you. I'm like, right, okay, well, can you ask him? They went, whoa, no, we can't ask him. He's in his trailer and he's meditating. And I'm like, okay, well, do you want to go and ask him? Oh, no, we're under strict instructions. We can never interrupt him when he's meditating. I'm like, okay, well, how long is it going to be? Because I've got a flight. They went, well, it could be 5 minutes. It could be 2 hours. I'm like,
Oh my God.
what? You knock on the door. Anyway, I was like, well, fuck this. I'm out of here. It's done. Boom. And off we went. And that was that. So there's my story.
But I know what it's like to be that small part in the show and feel like, all right, I got imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Really
Like, hey, I do a bit of acting as well. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the show. As always, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Harrington. Thank you, Paul Felder. And thank you to all of the guests. Thank you guys for the show, because without you guys, we wouldn't have jack shit. See you next time. Bye-bye.